subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Also need to replenish supplies. Everything they brought out before is almost used up. Chapter 52, Zoro meets Kuina, the ordinary man who saw Minato appearing, quickly arrived at the Marine base. After communicating with the soldiers at the base gate, I was released and went to the colonel's office. Sitting in the office was a middle-aged man with silvery white hair and smoking a cigar. Looking at the person coming, he said calmly, "What's the matter?" "Colonel Smoker. I discovered the little blonde girl pirate who killed a colonel and had a bounty of 10 million Baileys. She has arrived in Rogue Town." Smoker and Dasky in a room were stunned. Dasky was a little surprised. Colonel Smoker was really right. Such a person would not stay in the East China Sea for a long time. It seems that they want to leave the East China Sea through Upside Down Mountain. Dusky looked at the colonel. "Colonel Smoker, are you going to arrest him?" This is the person specially assigned by General He Zhong to imprison him and then let him join Marine. Smoker stood up from his chair with a deadpan expression. "Of course, let's go. You lead the way." Although he didn't want to catch the little girl, he actually didn't commit anything. But this is after all a request from the higher-ups, and even more so from Lieutenant General He. Just lock him up and let him join the Marines. Naturally, he would not treat her like those ferocious pirates. And then the messenger said with a smile, "Colonel Smoker, where is my reward?" Smoker looked at him expressionlessly. "Don't worry, I won't miss you. There are often some pirates who enter Rogtown mixed with the crowd. Without these people reporting, the pirates really get away with it here. Come and see what they call their holy place. The place where Roger was finally executed has turned into a landscape." "Okay, then I'll take you there right away." The man who reported the news was very satisfied. Smoker would definitely not owe him anything. This is a pretty good income. It's better than nothing. After all, he himself did not have the ability to capture such a vicious pirate. On the other side, Kuina, Nami, Nokigo, and Minato were walking on the streets of Rogue Town. Several people have already purchased some necessities of life, and Minato kept looking at everything around her. Everything was very novel to her. Although it is not as luxurious as her family's manor, it is very lively here, with many street shops selling some novel gadgets. The same goes for Kuina. She has never been out of Shimatsuki village. How has she ever seen such a prosperous town? But it's a pity that she didn't really come back to life. In fact, I don't feel anything now. At this moment, a man with green hair and 3 knives on his waist came over. None other than Zoro of the Straw Hat Pirates. He got 2 swords in a weapons store, Yuki Kakeru and 3rd generation Kitetsu. So there are 3 more knives. He's in a good mood now. That 3rd generation Go sword is a demon sword. But I seem to have conquered it. When the Straw Hat Pirates came to Rogue Town, they were naturally prepared to stay for a few days. Buy supplies. After all, Rogue Town is the last supply point to enter the Great Channel. Then pass the Upside Down Mountain and enter the first half of the Great Waterway. Today we are ready to go. One last day to spend some time wandering around. But at this moment, his eyes were completely stunned because he saw a little girl wearing a white top and reddish-brown pants. How is this possible? He was stunned. Isn't this Kuina as a child? This figure never left his mind. The person who agreed with him to become the world's best swordsman is his competitor, someone whose talent in swordsmanship is far greater than his own. But isn't she already dead? How could he be standing here alive? I must be dazzled. He immediately closed his eyes, then opened them again, and then he saw the same person clearly. It was Kuina. Still can't believe it. You must know that Kuina died after falling down the stairs. He had seen Kuina covered with white cloth with his own eyes. He died so simply. It was unimaginable that such a powerful person could die like this. At that time, I was completely heartbroken. Could it be that I'm dreaming now? Otherwise, how could we meet Kuina? He slapped himself hard with all his strength. Then I felt a burning pain in my face. If you look at that figure again, it's the same figure, and you feel pain. It's not a dream at all. And the people around him were also looking at him. Why did this man slap himself so suddenly? Is he sick? But none of them dared to laugh at this man. That was because he had 3 knives on his waist. Such a person is not easy to mess with at first sight. This loud slap caught Kuina's eyes. There was a surprised expression on his face. Could this be the grown-up Zoro? It's unmistakable, that green hair and this completely enlarged version of Zoro as a child. She just watched quietly. I made a promise with him that we would become great swordsmen together, but I died so early. I feel a little ashamed of him. Zoro saw Kuina's gaze, that familiar gaze. Yes, the other party knew him. Now he saw that there were Nami, no Kigo, Minato, and others around him. What on earth was going on? He stepped forward quickly. Kuina looked at Zoro. Zoro couldn't hide his excitement. It turned out to be Kuina, and the voice was unmistakable. But how could it be? How could she come back to life? She was obviously dead at that time, and she was puzzled. Kuina, what happened? How did you survive? Nami and no Kigo also noticed Zoro. I didn't expect to meet him here. Luffy and the others should be preparing to enter the Grand Channel from here. They are unable to cross the windless zone. Not everyone can cross the windless zone. Minato felt bad and quickly came to Kuina's side and said, "Explain in a low voice. You can't reveal the resurrection. It will cause chaos. Resurrection is definitely the most magical thing on the sea. The ability to control life and death will definitely attract the attention of many people." Kuina understood and said as she approached Zoro, "Calm down. Don't be too surprised. Actually, I was resurrected by Minato's brother Orochimaru. Of course, it's just a soul resurrection now. I will go to his family to get a real resurrection later. Don't let anyone know about this." Zoro looked surprised. Doesn't this surprise him? But he still controlled himself and didn't make any noise. He couldn't hide the excitement in his heart. He didn't expect that he could even control life and death. The fact was right in front of him, and he couldn't help but not believe it. His body was shaking continuously, but he suppressed it. He was extremely happy. He didn't expect Minato's brother to be able to do such a thing. Right? You can't let other people know about this kind of thing. Chapter 53, Smoke Fruit Ability. Zoro only feels extremely happy now that his former partner is alive. This completely made up for the regrets in his life. He looked at Kuina. "Does Master know about your resurrection?" Kuina shook her head. "I haven't seen him yet. I will go back to see my father after I am truly resurrected." The Master Zoro talks about is naturally her father Koshiro. If his father saw him, he would be very happy. Then she looked at Zoro and admired. "Zoro, I learned from Nami that you actually dueled with the world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye, and you did a good job. A childhood dream. To her, it was just yesterday, but Zoro was actually already standing on this stage. In fact, this is just a whimsical dream of two children in a village. Yes, even if she had this dream, it was just a dream. If you look at it realistically, you will know how distant a dream it is." Zoro smiled helplessly. This is nothing to be proud of at all. After all, the gap is so big that you can't even see what the gap is. He was defeated by a small knife, and even the opponent used a small knife because he did not have a smaller knife. At this moment, the crowd surged because Colonel Smoker came with a group of Marines. Under the leadership of the person who reported the news, Minato and others were found. Smoker looked over and saw the little girl with blonde hair. Was this the little girl who killed a Marine colonel? Did she also kill Eren? Interesting. He held out his finger. "That little blonde girl, there's a bounty of 10 million Baileys for killing Colonel Marine, so just go ahead and capture her." No Kigo and Nami were both stunned. Is there actually a bounty on Minato? Is it because of killing Colonel Marine? But how is this possible? No Kigo explained quickly. "I should have reported Colonel Rat of the Marine Corps to collude with pirates. This should be regarded as innocent. How come there is a reward on his head?" The crowd around them was a little excited. They were really shocked by the news. What? Marine actually colluded with pirates. This is so shameless. Yeah, Marine is too corrupt. This little blonde girl is innocent, right? Don't listen to one side of the story. Listen to what Colonel Smoker said, right? Smoker felt very helpless. Make it difficult for him. Although he knew that the other party was telling the truth, he would not admit it. If admitted, Marine's reputation would be severely damaged. It's nothing, just surrender and arrest him. He took out 10 tricks to resolve the matter quickly, so as not to affect Marine's reputation. Capturing this little girl was the intention of Marine's higher-ups. There was discussion among the crowd. In other words, How could Marine collude with pirates? What Colonel Smoker said is certainly worthy of belief. You must know that Smoker is an extremely serious Marine. Countless pirates who came to Rogtown were captured. At the same time, Rogtown is protected by Smoker, so pirates were not able to come to this town to plunder. No Kigo and Nami only felt angry in their hearts. This Marine actually opened his eyes and told lies. Zoro on the side finally understood. It seems that Marine lied to protect his reputation, and he is also ready to take action. Minato saved the sister of Kuina's benefactor and would never let her be captured by Marine. He was also lying in front of him. Dasky saw this man and asked, "Are you going to stop Marine too?" I used to be a little envious of this man, Wado Ikamanji, who possesses the 21 skills of a sharp sword. She didn't want the other person to stand against Marine. Zoro replied expressionlessly. Certainly. Minato was very unhappy. It's Marine again. The mouse colonel from before was killed by her in one blow. The Marine in front of me looks a bit strong, but so what? It's impossible to catch yourself. She said slightly provocatively, "Catch me if you can." He took out his kunai, prepared to KO the opponent, and then left gracefully. Smoker snorted coldly. I don't know how high the sky is. His lower body turned into a ball of white smoke, and then he rushed straight towards Minato, holding Juju as his weapon. He wanted to see what kind of ability this little girl had, and how she could defeat a cruel guy like Eren. If he didn't have the power of Devil Fruit, it would still be difficult to deal with Eren. Minato was surprised when he saw this scene. This was definitely a Devil Fruit power. It seemed like she had to be more cautious. She threw out the kunai directly, and then began to condense the Rasengan in her right hand. This Marine teleported away after dodging his own kunai. But what happened next surprised her. That is, his own kunai actually penetrated the other party's body. Is this the Devil Fruit power that my father mentioned? Moreover, the Logia Devil Fruit ability can be naturalized and immune to all physical attacks. She suddenly felt troubled. She didn't learn armament hockey, so she couldn't cope with it, but she didn't know if her Rasengan was useful. You have to give this a try. The oncoming Smoker looked at the ball in the little girl's hand and didn't know what it was, but even a bomb couldn't hurt him. Continued to rush over. But Minato suddenly appeared behind him using the Flying Thunder God technique. Then he held down the Rasengan in his hand and threw it at Smoker's body, directly making a small hole. There was no feeling of hit, just a cloud of smoke. Minato felt something was wrong, so he immediately jumped away and distanced himself. Smoker's body slowly recovered. Fortunately, he recovered quickly naturally. Otherwise, the blow just now was enough to hurt him. He turned to look at the little girl far away from him. This guy can teleport. It must be the power of the Devil Fruit. With this ability to deal with Eren, he can defeat Eren by surprise. Such an ability feels very threatening. It's just that her attacks are still powerless against her. Even Dasky, who was watching the battle, was shocked. This ability to teleport is probably a Devil Fruit ability. What a magical ability. It is very convenient for sneak attacks and escapes. Is this why Lieutenant General he is interested in it? Zoro, however, was surprised by this Marine's abilities. What is the ability of this Marine? How can a knife miss? Dasky said with a cold snort. Colonel Smoker is a user with Smoke Fruit ability. I advise you not to take action. Your attacks will not be able to hit Colonel Smoker. Zoro was shocked. Does he actually have such magical abilities? Chapter 54 Garp arrives at this moment. Smoker turned into a puff of smoke again and chased the little blonde girl, trying to catch her. The flying speed is faster, and you have to catch her before the opponent teleports. Minato saw Smoker chasing after him again, and once again activated the Flying Thunder God technique and left. Let Smoker miss again. Smoker's expression was a little frustrated and a little angry. Minato returned to Nami, because she had already left her own Flying Thunder God mark on Nami's clothes, and then warned her, "Sister Nami, I will play with Colonel Marine for a while, and I can naturally deal with him when my brother comes back. Please pay attention to your own safety." Nami was a little surprised by Minato's appearance. We will just be careful. She didn't kill Colonel Marine. Do these Marines still have the guts to catch them? If he really did it, Marine would be too dark. At this moment, Dusky rushed over with Marine. This little girl is so fast. He and others must take action. Zoro also pulled out 3 sabers and stood in front of him, saying coldly, "If you want to capture him, you have to pass my test." Daisuke became angry when she heard this. "You guys also want to be an enemy of Marine?" Zoro was unmoved after hearing this, which was the best response. Daisuke looked angry. Okay, then I'll arrest you too. Give them all to me." So the Marines behind him surrounded him and fought with Zoro. At this moment, Smoker's face was angry, and he was being played again. It turned into a white smoke and flew over again at full speed. But he didn't expect that the blonde girl disappeared again and returned to the place where he was originally hunting. He was very angry. He shouted angrily while holding Juju in his hand. "You guy, don't run away if you have the guts." Minato grimaced. "What stupid things are you talking about? My attacks can't hit you. Come after me if you can." This made Smoker think it made sense. It seems that this little girl is not armed with haki, so she does not have any effective attack on herself. Although he remained invincible, he was not very happy in his heart. It's actually very tricky for this guy to teleport away. Instead of confronting him head-on, he kept running away. This teleportation ability does not require any preparation. It really moves instantly. It's so hard to deal with, it's really hateful. This time he also learned to be smart. It is absolutely impossible to catch up simply by chasing. Then launch a long-range attack. As long as she appears in a place, attack. It's not him who is in such a mess. He continued to rush towards a figure and fired a fist that turned into smoke from a distance. White fist. Minato was a little surprised when he saw this move. His body could actually turn into smoke and extend out. This time when I return to the family, I must learn how to be armed and domineering. This is her next goal. Otherwise, I want to go to other sea areas or a new world in the future. I'm really at a disadvantage because I don't know how to be armed and domineering. Alas, at this time she noticed the smoke coming toward her again. He quickly dodged again, leaving the mark of the flying thunder god everywhere. As long as you keep enough, it will be impossible for this guy to catch you, and you will become more and more relaxed. Although she couldn't win, which made her a little unwilling, the opponent couldn't hit her either, which made her a lot less depressed. The smoker who launched the attack became more and more frightened. This guy was able to dodge such a violent attack without using the ability to move instantly. His eyes became serious. This little girl was not simple. With such skills at such a young age, no wonder Lieutenant General, he wanted her to join Marine so much. It seems that it is really difficult to catch this guy, and the next step will be a protracted battle. He didn't think his physical strength would be inferior to that of a little girl. This will destroy his confidence. After some time, the commotion here attracted the straw hats on the island to approach. Luffy watched in surprise as Zoro and Marine fought. Now, these Marines have been knocked to the ground by Zoro, of course, only with the back of his sword. This is the result of Zoro's training these days. Unexpectedly, it actually works. And Luffy came closer. "Zoro, did Marine discover your identity? That's why he wanted to arrest you. They are pirates, and it is natural for Marine to catch pirates." Zoro shook his head. "Not really." At this time, Sanji noticed with sharp eyes that Nami was also here. I suddenly felt happy. He immediately ran to her side, and Luffy and others followed. Luffy and others learned the truth from Nami. Luffy was furious. "These Marines are really disgusting. You actually framed a little girl. You still deny that Marine colluded with pirates." At this time, a loud voice sounded from behind him. "Luffy, do you actually call Marine hateful?" Luffy was extremely frightened when he heard such a loud voice, because the source of this voice was his own grandfather, who had always educated him with an iron fist of love and wanted him to become a Marine. Grandpa, who has been trying to change his dream. If he discovers that he is a pirate, the consequences will be self-evident. Usopp also noticed Luffy's expression at this moment. He was a little curious about who the visitor was, which made Luffy, who had never known what fear was, so scared that he turned around to look. I suddenly felt scared. It's actually a Marine again, and it looks like his level is not low. The leader was wearing a Marine Justice cloak and a dog-headed hat. There were a group of Marines behind him, especially a man in a suit with a knife on his waist. This person is not simple at first glance. You know, he is a pirate, so there is no reason not to be afraid when seeing Marine. There are people who can wear Marine's cloak of justice, and they are definitely not ordinary Marines. He immediately acted more cautiously so as not to be discovered. Otherwise, the game would definitely be over. Luffy was also panicking at this moment and turned to look at his grandfather in disbelief. It's actually Grandpa who's here. Chapter 55. Luffy was beaten. Garp walked slowly to his side and asked in a bad tone, "Luffy, you're actually in Rogtown. You're not going to go to sea to become a pirate, are you?" Ace went to sea when he was 17 years old, and Luffy is the same age now. Although Luffy doesn't have a bounty on his head yet, that may be because he hasn't committed anything major. That would be the best of misfortunes. Luffy looked at his grandfather, not to be outdone. He didn't want to talk, especially when facing his grandfather. The more he beat him, the more determined he became. He yelled, "Grandpa, I have gone to sea to become a pirate, and these few around me are the companions I gathered." As he spoke, he looked at his grandfather with a grin. Garp looked at these people with a livid face. The man holding 3 knives among them also knocked down a group of Marine soldiers. The unknown fire in my heart rose up. At this time, Dusky, who was knocked to the ground in pain, shouted, "Lieutenant General Garp, please help Smoker catch the little blonde girl." Originally, she still had grievances, that is, Zoro actually injured her, but not with the blade but the back of the knife. It was obvious that no killer was involved. I was angry in my heart, but there was nothing I could do. Naturally, she heard the man wearing a straw hat call Lieutenant General Garp Grandpa. We were all shocked for a moment. Lieutenant General Garp's grandson actually went to sea to become a pirate. However, this matter will be resolved in Garp. Now she was more concerned about the little blonde girl. Because she turned away from the corner of her eye, Colonel Smoker was fighting with the little blonde girl. Not only could he avoid Smoker's powerful attacks, he could even teleport in critical moments. Colonel Smoker had absolutely nothing to do with her. Sanji was shocked when he heard this. Marine hero Garp? I didn't expect him to be such a big shot. I didn't expect the person behind Luffy to be the hero Garp. He has such a profound background. The grandfather was very angry when he saw it, and his face turned completely gloomy. Garp was really angry at this moment. He didn't pay attention to Dasky's words. Of course, in his eyes, his precious grandson is the most important now. This guy has actually gone to sea to become a pirate. He didn't listen to his own warning at all. He was really an ignorant boy. Fortunately, he came back this time. Otherwise, he would be a real pirate if he had become a pirate with a bounty on his head. Just like Ace, that could never be Marine again. Of course, this kind of thing is absolutely not allowed to happen. Otherwise, the grandson of his Marine hero became a pirate. What kind of joke is this? He said coldly, "Luffy, become a Marine with me, or I will put you in prison." Luffy's face became anxious after hearing this. Absolutely not. It's so fun to take risks after becoming a pirate. Who wants to become a Marine? His companions didn't speak. The Marine hero Garp was already very scary just by looking at his aura. Moreover, this was a family matter and they couldn't interfere. I don't know if some of them will be arrested. Several of them were also a little worried. Something was not going well today. Not long after the establishment of the Straw Hat Pirates, they met the hero Garp, and it might really end hastily. I feel a little disappointed and embarrassed. Garp heard Luffy's words and came to Luffy in an instant. A big fist hit the top of his head, causing Luffy to have a big bump on his head and shout angrily, "Very good, then I'll put you in prison." This is the consequence of becoming a pirate. Garp felt very helpless. He didn't expect that he would make the same choice as warring states. Luffy must be imprisoned and suppress this boy's arrogance. Otherwise, he will really become a pirate, right? Luffy instantly fell to the ground in pain, wailing, "It hurts." Usopp and Sanji were both shocked. At this speed, he was in front of Luffy and knocked him to the ground. He was indeed Luffy's grandfather. Marine hero Garb Zoro looked surprised. "It's so fast. Is this how powerful Marine heroes are?" Luffy was hurt like this. What kind of ability is this? Because he knew that Luffy was made of rubber, and, generally speaking, he shouldn't feel any pain from physical attacks. Just like Luffy can bounce bullets and cannonballs. Dasky, who was lying on the ground, slowly stood up and pushed up his glasses. This is the Marine's sixth shave. It can move quickly, as if teleporting. Only elite Marines can learn it. She was gesturing in her mind, wondering how it would compare to that little girl's teleportation. Colonel Smoker obviously couldn't catch the little blonde girl, but after Marine Hero Garp arrived, I'm afraid there is no escape. Zoro is a little surprised. Marine sixth form? What a convenient ability. Unfortunately, he is not a Marine and cannot learn it, but it is enough to refine his own swordsmanship. Kuina was still alive, which made his mood change slightly. There is no regret in my heart. The next thing is, of course, to continue the agreement between the two, and one of them will become the world's best swordsman. At this time, there was a terrifying explosion in the distance. One of the shops was completely reduced to a sea of flames. The people around had been frightened by such a scene for a long time, and they all stayed away if they were affected. I'm afraid it will be burned. They were all scared. It's so scary. This little girl can actually emit explosive flames. Garp was also attracted by the explosion and looked over with a frown. Could this blonde girl be the person Sengoku mentioned? Is it really such a coincidence? At this time, Dasky also felt bad. This little girl could also release explosive flames, causing such serious damage to the town. This cannot go on any longer. Colonel Smoker obviously couldn't win the opponents, and came to the Marine Hero Garp. Lieutenant General Garp, this is Marine Dasky from Rogue Town. Please help Colonel Smoker capture this little blonde girl. She is the person designated by Lieutenant General He to arrest. Garp looked surprised that he was actually this person, being able to fight with this kid Smoker. And the ability to teleport is really good. This is not fast movement, but teleportation. It's really rare and a real talent. He now fully agrees with Xiaohe's opinion, and he is really very discerning in letting him join Marine. Otherwise, he might become a pirate like his incompetent grandson. Don't worry, I will catch her. At this time, Nokigo, who was watching this scene, accused angrily. Why should Minato be arrested? He obviously did not commit any crime. Is it a big sin to kill a Marine who colluded with pirates? I'm afraid you all have to deal with that Marine internally. What she said is not wrong. A Marine who colludes with pirates is a Marine traitor. Such a person would definitely be more hateful than a pirate. Chapter 56 Garp takes action. Garp heard the strange woman's accusation and replied expressionlessly. You are right, killing Colonel Rad is not a crime at all. The reason why she was captured was to make her join Marine. Don't worry, nothing will happen. He felt that there was nothing to hide about this matter, so he said it carelessly. Nami and Nokigo both understood. It turns out that Marine also felt that killing Colonel Mouse was not a crime, but was just a way to get Minato to join Marine. Both of them felt much more relaxed. I just feel like this approach is a bit overwhelming. Dasky was very surprised when she heard Garp's words. Does this reveal Marine's purpose? Wouldn't that be equivalent to admitting that Colonel Mouse colluded with the pirates? That would probably affect Marine's reputation. Fortunately, there are no civilians nearby, so the news will not spread. At this time, Garp walked towards Smoker and Minato. With his ability, he could only catch a little girl, so he was still confident. Smoker, who had just been hit by a fireball, had a pale face, although he was not injured. But this little girl unleashes such violent fireballs that she destroys the town. This is a crime. I was very angry and helpless. There was no way he could catch her. The ability to teleport is so strong that he feels like a cat being teased by a mouse. At this time, he noticed the Marine Hero Garp walking over and stood in awe. Lieutenant General Garp. Garp looked at the little blonde girl. Let me do it, this kid can't run away. The ability to teleport is very tricky. If faced with an adult with this ability, he is not confident that he can catch up. But she is just a little girl, and she still has abilities, that is, by turning on the domineering power of seeing, hearing, color, and improving her own perception. Instantly sense her location, so you can quickly pursue her. Smoker's face lit up, and with the help of Lieutenant General Garp, he vomited out all the grievances in his heart and yelled at the little blonde girl. Kid, Marine Hero Lieutenant General Garp will take action next. You can't run away. Minato looked depressed as he used the great fireball to attack Smoker, but it was ineffective. Sure enough, flames can't hurt smoke. When I heard Smoker's words at this moment, I felt very disdainful. I'm just a lieutenant general. He's probably better than you. If I'm a Marine general, he's about the same. Although the lieutenant general is also very troublesome. Her Flying Thunder God technique is more than enough to deal with it. She knows that the top strength of Marine is only the 3 generals of Marine. This is Marine's highest combat power. This white-haired old man also wanted to catch him. It was really a dream. Smoker's face turned pale. What a big statement. The hero Garp is stronger than the 3 Marine generals. Before the rise of the 3 major generals, Garp became famous in this sea. It's just that he's in an old state now, but his state has not declined much. A single Marine general would probably only get beaten when facing Garp. Even people with Logia Devil Fruit abilities stronger than myself. Garp grinned. It's been a long time since he met a kid with such a loud voice, and he admired it very much. Hey, how about joining Marine? That would save you the sin of killing Colonel Mouse. Minato was a little surprised. He wanted to catch him before, but this more advanced Marine wanted to let him join. But she decisively refused. I don't want to join Marine. Her brother once said that Marine is not a good person either. Although he maintains the safety of the sea and catches pirates, he is the dog of the Celestial Dragon. The Celestial Dragons are evil existences, and they are existences that even my father doesn't like. They enjoy supreme rights in this world, but they are cruel and tyrannical, treating others as slaves, pets, or even ants. Even members of their first family are not so arrogant. Garp looked expressionless, being rejected again. Then put you in jail and temper your temper. Such a little girl now has such powerful abilities and good skills. If he grows up, he will definitely be comparable to a general. No matter how bad he is, he will still be a candidate for general. Will definitely become a Marine mainstay in the future. On the contrary, if you become a pirate, you will become a powerful enemy. Of course, Minato still didn't want to join. Come if you have the ability. Let me see how powerful the Marine heroes are who are stronger than the 3 Marine generals. Her face became extremely serious. If he is stronger than the 3 Marine generals, he must be the top player in the world. I am still young, so it must be very difficult to deal with it. If you continue to be as lax as you were when dealing with Smoker, you will undoubtedly be asking for trouble for yourself. Of course, she is not incapable of dealing with it. Many of the Flying Thunder God's marks have been left in the surrounding area. This is her method and her confidence. Garp couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth when he heard this. What an arrogant little girl. Is it really possible to compete with myself? He directly used the Marine 6-style shaver and rushed towards Minato. As if teleporting, he rushed not far away from Minato in an instant. Minato was shocked in his heart, and without hesitation launched the Flying Thunder God and moved to the farthest distance. Then he looked at the old man in horror. This guy's speed is really scary. If he hadn't been able to fly the Thunder God's art, he might have really been caught up. Nami no Kigo was very worried when she saw this scene. Marine Hero Garp took action, and he was much sharper than the Marine Colonel Smoker just now. Minato had been able to deal with Smoker easily. In their eyes, no matter how powerful Minato is, he can't compete with the Marine heroes. Just hope she doesn't get caught. Although Marine's purpose is to let Minato join Marine, this method makes them unhappy. Garp turned slowly. Really teleportation. Even if he uses Xiao himself, he can't catch up in time before teleporting. It's really interesting. He was full of domineering power, sensing everything around him. As long as you sense where the little girl appears and catch up at your own speed, you should be able to catch up. If a little girl can't catch up, it's because her ability is too strong. The Marine hero himself is a bit embarrassed. Now it really starts. After saying that, he immediately used Xiao again and chased after the little girl as if she was teleporting. When he was about to touch her, Minato teleported away again. Before she could relax, she immediately saw the old man again, not far from her, and was frightened in her heart. In a hurry, he used the Flying Thunder God technique again. The two sides continued to chase each other. Garp took a keen interest. Let's see how long you can run. Such an ability must be very exhausting. It would be too heaven-defying if you didn't even use up your physical strength. In his eyes, this is the devil fruit ability, and it naturally consumes physical strength. Chapter 57, Let Me Be Your Opponent. Minato heard his words and didn't reply. She knew her situation. When she was fighting another Marine, she had already consumed a lot of chakra to use the Flying Thunder God technique. If the fight continues, it will be extremely detrimental to her. To perform the Flying Thunder God technique, you must have a large amount of chakra to be able to perform it continuously. And now the chakra in my body is almost half consumed. I hope Brother Snake will come back soon. This old man is really not easy to deal with. Able to chase myself down quickly every time. Teleport to the next location, and this guy seems to already know it. Then he immediately pursued her, making her feel extremely stressed. At this time, the white-haired grandfather caught up again. Minato's expression changed, and finally he teleported away again. There's no way. I have no idea of fighting this person in close combat. This guy looks very strong. The speed is still so fast now. This speed is only possible due to the powerful body, not the speed of using ninjutsu. It is not feasible to fight the opponent in close combat. It is too dangerous. Seeing Minato teleporting continuously, Nami was worried. Marine Hero Garp is too fast. This is the strength of Marine Hero. Minato must be very stressed right now. She didn't want Minato to be caught like this. I hope she can hold on and wait until Orochimaru comes back. Her brother is trustworthy, but he doesn't know how long it will take to come back. At this time, the pain in Luffy's head, which was lying on the ground, had subsided a lot, and he stood up. Watching the battle between Minato and his grandfather, he was shocked. I have never seen my grandpa look so serious. Grandpa is really scary, and even more scary is this Minato. Minato is so strong. He can let Grandpa use such strength, and he can't even catch up. For the first time, he realized the horror of teleportation. Even his grandfather couldn't catch up, and he himself couldn't avoid his grandfather's fists. He was hit in the head every time before he had time to react. Smoker had already retreated to the edge of the battlefield at this time. Of course, there was no need for him to attack the Marine hero. That would be disrespectful to the heroes of Marine. Furthermore, if a middle-aged man or an old man attacks a little girl, even if he wins, he will lose face. After hearing what Luffy said, he really agreed this little girl is indeed very powerful, making the Marine hero become completely serious, as if she is fighting a powerful pirate. But he still saw it. However, she will be defeated soon. She won't be able to escape for long. This little girl's expression is already very wrong. Luffy also observed it. That was the tired look on Minato's face at the moment, taking deep breaths. But this is powerful enough. At this time, Usopp felt even more scared when he saw Luffy talking to the colonel. How could Luffy be so brave to talk to Colonel Marine? If this little girl is caught, wouldn't it be the Straw Hat Pirates themselves next? Although he has always competed with Luffy for the captain's position, to be honest, if he went to sea alone and relied on himself, his career as a pirate would basically be miserable. Luffy's combat prowess is still very trustworthy. There are other partners, and he doesn't want to separate. He doesn't want this pirate group to be disbanded or even imprisoned. He slowly walked up to Luffy and whispered into his ear, "Luffy, take advantage of this moment to run away. You don't want to be locked up by Grandpa." Luffy's face was stunned when he heard this. That makes sense. Of course he doesn't want to be arrested. That would be really tragic. Usopp is right. Now is a good opportunity. He also came to Sanji and Zoro, calling softly for them to leave together. Sanji looked at Nami reluctantly. Although he wanted to be with Nami very much, he was no longer a companion after all, and he had his own path. Zoro hesitated for a moment, and then said goodbye to Kuina, and agreed to become the world's greatest swordsman together, continuing the promise they made when they were children. Kuina will definitely be resurrected in the future. The little girl should be fine. The Marine hero just wants her to join Marine's tricks. So the four of them left secretly. After a few more minutes, Nami no Kigo's face became panicked. Seeing Minato's breathing getting heavier and heavier, his expression became increasingly grim. If Orochimaru doesn't come, it will be really dangerous. Their action was of no use. On the contrary, not only could they not help Minato, they would even harm Minato. Smoker looked at this scene and felt that it was almost over. This little girl's physical strength is almost exhausted. It was a scene that really surprised him. I didn't expect this little girl to be able to fight with a Marine hero to such an extent. Even though she lost, it was an honor. Even Garp thinks so. The speed of his pursuit also slowed down. After all, He just wanted to let him join Marine, instead of injuring her. She's not a cruel pirate. After Minato teleported for the last time, he slowly walked towards the little girl. Stop. Judging from your appearance, you probably can't teleport. You lost. The little girl in front of him was already stooped and looked a little unsteady on her feet. Minato was a little reluctant. It was really hateful. If you were older, you wouldn't be able to catch yourself. After growing up, chakra and physical strength will increase. Garp grinned after hearing this. That's really a pity. If this little girl were older and had enough physical strength, she might be the one being teased. Fortunately, I met a little girl at this time. The speed of teleportation is even more terrifying than that of Porcellino. Porcellino's flash movement also had a trajectory, but this little girl really had no trajectory at all. She was just teleporting. So you want to join Marine? Otherwise, you will really be put in jail. He has cherished his talent, and it would be absolutely terrifying for such a little guy to grow up. Even Luffy and Max can't compare. I don't know what kind of devil fruit power she ate. Minato no longer had the energy to answer him. At this moment, a figure slowly walked up behind the little girl, who was a head taller than the little girl. He had a sinister smile on his body. Is this the Marine hero Garp who bullies my sister like this? Let me be your opponent next. Chapter 58, Orochimaru successfully resurrected Roger Nami, and no Kigo were relieved to see Orochimaru back. This person might be able to withstand this terrifying marine hero. With the giant snake he summoned, it is possible to successfully resurrect One Piece Roger. I don't know if One Piece Roger was successfully resurrected. If he can be revived, he will definitely be able to fight against the marine hero Garp. In their eyes, One Piece Roger is undoubtedly a stronger person than the marine hero. They had heard that the marine hero once hunted Roger, but many pursuits were fruitless, which was enough to illustrate the comparison in combat power between the two. One Piece Roger is a pirate who combines wealth, fame, and power. He is the first and only captain of the Roger Pirates to complete the Great Passage in history, and he is also the owner of the legendary One Piece. Nami's heart was moved when she thought of this. If Roger comes back to life, I wonder if he can ask her where this great secret treasure is. After all, Orochimaru said that the resurrected One Piece Roger would be under his control. Maybe we can get Roger's treasure before everyone else. I'm a little excited just thinking about it. There is no telling how many piles of treasure are hidden within. Is it a treasure like a small island? That's really a lot. I don't know how much money that amount of money is. Maybe every piece of the collection is priceless. Of course, she is now a little curious about what Garp's expression will look like later. New Akigo at stable now. I wonder what kind of expression Garp will show later. After all, they're old rivals, so that would be really interesting. New Akigeo also agreed very much. Smoker didn't take it seriously. This young man does look very extraordinary with a sinister temperament. But the opponent is the marine hero Garp. Can it rival it? That would be too shocking. Garp is one of the most powerful people in the world, comparable to the existence of One Piece Roger. Can this kid have such strong fighting power? The world was shocked. These people are just happy for nothing. Maybe they haven't seen the true strength of marine hero Garp. When he just dealt with the little blonde girl, marine hero Garp certainly didn't use all his strength. If he used all his strength, he might be able to destroy the town with one blow. Such a terrifying move would be impossible to hide, even with teleportation. Garp looked at this young man with a smile on his face, but he was very sinister. Is this the expression a child should have? He seems quite confident to become his opponent. Is this boy more powerful than the little girl? This is possible. After all, he is her brother. Minato looked at Brother Snake and asked with surprise on his face, Brother Snake, you are finally back. Have you found it? Orochimaru nodded. Found it. Roger is indeed buried in a nearby cemetery, but his body has been completely cremated and only ashes remain. Because there are still devil fruits in this sea that can control corpses. That is Moonlight Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. He can control the corpses of dead strong men to form a zombie army, which is extremely powerful. But no one in the entire sea can control what turned into ashes. At least after all this time, no one has appeared who can control the ashes. Minato was very happy after hearing this, then released this big guy and teach the hero Garp a lesson. She bullied me badly enough and wanted me to forcefully join the Marines. Yes, although it didn't hit her, it put a lot of pressure on her and her heart was pounding. This guy is no less powerful than his powerful brothers. Such great pressure made her feel extremely aggrieved, so she must be made miserable. Orochimaru nodded after hearing this. Don't worry, I will, but this person cannot be released easily. Let's see if I can defeat it with my methods. Even if he successfully holds One Piece Roger in his hands, he cannot let it go easily, as this will make the sea shake. My father also doesn't want his family to be the center of attention. After hearing this, Garp was dissatisfied and confused. Is something big coming? Is it a more magical ability than teleportation? It would be too much to look down on him if he had to hide it from himself. If you have any tricks, just come over. If you're also a reliable person, then you can also join Marine. He did have the intention of cherishing his talent. Such a guy must join Marine and accept the values of justice. Otherwise, he would look at this young man's sinister expression. If you become a pirate, if you grow up, you will undoubtedly become a very terrible pirate. Orochimaru shook his head and said, I won't use this trick unless necessary. You should feel lucky. Garp felt despised. Well, even louder than the little blonde girl. Then I'm going to take action, Minato told Orochimaru with a serious look on his face after hearing this. Marine hero Garp is extremely powerful, even more powerful than the three generals. Be careful. Orochimaru nodded after hearing this. I will. His expression also became serious. It turned out to be a Marine hero, and he was a terrifying opponent. I'm afraid I have no way to deal with it. Do I really want to use that trick? But using that trick would definitely violate his father's prohibition, and his father would be angry. I'm afraid I will really be punished. Just when he looked hesitant, Garp had already used Shao to rush to Orochimaru at a very fast speed, raise his fist, and hit him. His move was powerful and heavy. Facing such an arrogant brat, he didn't hold back. He was quite serious. Since he is so arrogant, he should be able to withstand his own punch. This punch was never so serious, even when he faced Luffy Ace. At that time, his actions were just slightly armed and domineering. Such terrifying speed shocked Orochimaru. He also extended his right fist and then collided with Garp's big fist. In an instant, his expression completely changed. Feeling the solid fist and terrifying strength, his body immediately flew out. With great difficulty, he managed to control his body without falling to the ground, but there was a look of deep fear on his face. This guy is a terrifying physical monster. With such a young body, he shouldn't be able to fight head-on. Now I can still feel extreme pain in my right fist, as if it is about to break. This guy was serious and didn't hold back. Chapter 59, that move Garp was also a little surprised that he actually had the courage to confront him head-on. He grinned. He was so young, and his body had not yet fully developed. He was able to receive a serious punch from himself, at least without breaking his bones. This is already a person who can be called a genius. Performed very well. He used Shao again to catch up at great speed. You'll be finished next if you don't have any special abilities. Of course, this is very unlikely. He felt that this person must have some special ability. Orochimaru was completely cautious and focused this time, and could see Garp's movement trajectory this time. His body kept moving back, and at the same time, countless lion majesty emerged from the cuff of his right hand and bit him. Latent shadow, snake hands. Although the poison of these snakes cannot kill Garp, it would be great if it could make the Marine hero Garp coma and lose consciousness. Even if it can temporarily slow down his movements, it would be a very good result. Garp was a little surprised to see such a scene. It was actually Lion Majesty. But this move is of no use to him. The right hand directly covers the armed color and domineering energy. The Lion Majesty that suddenly jumped out bit his fist, unable to penetrate it at all. Instead, his teeth were shattered. Those teeth fell to the ground. At this time, Garp clenched his fist with his right hand and struck directly at the small snakes that suddenly appeared. Those little snakes were immediately smashed to pieces by a few punches. Seeing such a scene, Orochimaru's eyes narrowed slightly. This is an armed, domineering body protector. That's why his Lion Majesty can't break through the defense. And even those snakes that were not touched by fists were destroyed. This guy can use his weapon color to express his domineering power. Only those with extremely strong armed color and domineering energy can achieve this level. He truly is a hero Garp who is stronger than the 3 great generals. This is going to be really bad. If I don't use that trick, I'm afraid I really won't be able to escape. Minato was in this state, unable to use the Flying Thunder God technique. Even if it was barely usable, Orochimaru wouldn't allow it. It is too dangerous to use the Flying Thunder God technique in this state. If you're not careful, you might fall into a space crack, and that will be the end of it. Although he can still find and resurrect Minato with his father's supreme power, he will receive a terrible punishment. Seeing this scene, Smoker felt that the young man's previous tone was a bit loud. In terms of difficulty, she is far inferior to that little blonde girl. Her performance is much worse, and she has no teleportation ability. There cannot be 2 devil fruits with the same power in the ocean. It can only release some small snakes, but these small snakes are of no use to Garp at all. Nami and Naki were speechless. It does look like this, but the big snake hasn't come out yet, and it hasn't summoned One Piece Roger yet. If it came out, Smoker would definitely be frightened. As Marine's once most powerful enemy, there is no reason not to be afraid. At this time, Garp smashed the little snake and approached Orochimaru again with his shaver, trying to control him. It also opened up the domineering power of seeing and hearing. This brat must be defeated, otherwise he will not be able to join Marine with peace of mind. Orochimaru was stunned and didn't react. He was sent flying by one of his moves and fell to the ground with long scratches. It can be seen that this move is very powerful. Although it is not a full blow, the force is definitely real. If it were really full force, I am afraid that with the destructive power of Lieutenant General Garp, it would be able to blast an extremely huge hole directly. But it is obvious that when facing a young boy, how can he use such great strength? Just be serious about it. Smoker's expression was completely relaxed when he saw this scene. It seems like he is just an ordinary boy, much easier to deal with than the little blonde girl. There are no magical powers. Lieutenant General Garp seems to have succeeded with this move. Nami and Nokigo were a little worried. Is this the end of Orochimaru? Why didn't you summon Orochi or Roger? Could it be that there was no success? At this moment, Orochimaru's mouth on the ground suddenly opened, and then a pair of hands directly opened his mouth and opened it even wider. Another Orochimaru came out directly. His body was wet and his face was solemn. He is truly a marine hero, Garp. If he hadn't used the Orochimaru-style substitution technique in time, he might have been seriously injured by now. The Orochimaru substitution technique is amazing. That is to use your own body surface to withstand such an attack on your behalf. Now you can be said to be uninjured. Smoker was surprised when he saw this scene. There's such a weird method. It actually came out of his own mouth. It seems that he is not injured yet. What kind of weird ability is this? Is it really a devil fruit ability? Even Nami no Kigo was shocked. This was an ability he had never seen before. They know this is a kind of ninjutsu, and this kind of ninjutsu is very magical. Orochimaru didn't seem to be injured yet, even though he was hit so hard, but it was covered in liquid. They felt a little sick. Lieutenant General Garp was also completely stunned. He has fought with various pirates and seen various devil fruit abilities, but he has never seen such devil fruit abilities. It seemed that his heavy punch did not injure the opponent, but this is because the opponent's life-saving ability is very strong. Although I was shocked, that was all. As long as you can hit him, even if you have such a life-saving ability, you can just hit him, just throw a few more punches. On the contrary, the blonde girl's teleportation ability cannot be matched even if she uses it seriously. That kind of ability is kind of heaven-defying. Garp grinned. If you only have this level of ability, that's the end of it. Why don't you just be good and join Marine? Orochimaru was very angry when he heard such words that looked down upon him. At the same time, he realized how terrifying this Marine was. He really deserves to be the Marine hero Garp. I really didn't want to use that trick originally. But other than that, there is no other way to deal with him. A more sinister smile appeared on his face. Treat next. Then he slammed the ground. A huge seal appeared directly on the ground, and then a coffin slowly rose up. Of course, the one inside is One Piece GOL Roger, and Orochimaru has been implanted with a control seal. If such a guy is not controlled properly and can be summoned at will, it will be very dangerous. Chapter 60 Roger's Resurrection. Garp looked at this scene in shock. A coffin actually emerged from the ground. It seems that it didn't come out of the soil, but from the sudden appearance of the seal on the ground. What kind of ability is this? And what's inside the coffin isn't that the dead person. He knew that Moonlight Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, could control the corpses of the dead to fight, which was a terrifying devil fruit ability. Does this boy have similar abilities? And this is Rogtown. Could it be that guy who was summoned? This is impossible, absolutely impossible. Roger's body is indeed buried here, but they have all been burned to ashes just to prevent his body from being controlled by this similar ability. The ability of Moonlight Moria is already extremely rare, and there is no record of anything similar in this sea. He shouted loudly, "Boy, who is in this coffin?" Dasky also had a premonition. Is something terrible about to happen? This ability is indeed very strange. It's nothing compared to teleportation. Smoker's expression also changed. Could it be that the people here are his hiding methods? Maybe it will be even weirder than the little girl's ability to teleport. He also felt that this kid was no longer simple. After all, the little blonde girl looked excited now, and she felt relieved when he saw his brother coming before. And who will be inside this coffin? Even Nami and no Kigo were completely surprised. You must know that they have seen the process of Kuina's resurrection. It is very simple, and it probably only takes a few minutes. And the coffin that appeared was undoubtedly One Piece Roger. And that's exactly what Orochimaru is for. There would be no one else, and they felt relieved. Now Minato could leave safely without having to fear any marine heroes. They also don't like what marine heroes do. How can they force people to join marine? What's the difference between a marine like that and a bandit? At this moment, the thick coffin board fell directly to the ground. With a bang, a lot of dust flew up. Suddenly, a rough, big hand grasped the edge of the coffin, and a figure wearing a red coat, thick hair, and a beard slowly walked out. Murmured to himself, "Didn't I be beheaded? What happened?" He could see the light, and there is still a body to control. He had obviously been executed by Marine. Smoker looked completely frightened when he saw this man. How could this person survive? Impossible, absolutely impossible. When the execution was first carried out, he was there to see with his own eyes that he was beheaded. Impossible, I am definitely dreaming right now. He slapped himself hard, but the severe pain was transmitted directly to his brain. Is this actually reality? Looking at that figure again, it is indeed One Piece Roger. Dasky was a little surprised and confused. How could Colonel Smoker do such an amazing thing? Is this a very scary person? Colonel Smoker, who is this man? At this moment, no Kigo, Nami, and Kuina were all looking at the figure emerging from the coffin board. They all know that this is One Piece, and that's what he looks like. He looks like a very thick man, very domineering, but not too cruel. At this moment, Garp's expression changed, and he shouted angrily, "BD kid, what have you done? How did you resurrect this BD Roger?" In fact, he didn't hate Roger. In fact, Roger was a bit like him. He was deeply trusted by his companions. In order to protect his companions, he would even dare to destroy a country. Even a little naive and simple. But if such a person is resurrected, it will definitely make the pirates completely excited, because their king is back. The sea will shake again, and even the world will riot. This guy should be buried underground forever. Dasky's expression completely changed after hearing Garp's words. Asked shakily, "Colonel Smoker, is this man really One Piece Roger?" That was someone who had been dead for decades. When he was executed, she was not born yet, so she had not seen her, but Colonel Smoker was about 10 years older than her, so he must have known. Smoker's expression was completely frozen at this moment. Yes, this person is One Piece Roger. Unexpectedly, this young man actually resurrected him. This is really a weirder ability than teleportation. No wonder the 3 women just felt relieved when they saw this young man appear. Could it be that they already knew about it? At this time, even Marine Bogart, brought by Garp, changed his expression. He is different from other Marines. He is the one who has followed Lieutenant General Garp for the longest time. So he knew that this person was One Piece Roger. They fought against each other many times back then. Of course, I didn't fight with him personally, and I didn't have the ability to fight with such a terrifying and powerful person. His opponent is a former companion of One Piece. Roger heard this rough, loud voice, this familiar voice. It was not Garp or someone else. And he looked at Garp with a smile on his face. Garp, long time no see. This is Rog Town. The changes are really big. I think when I left, it was still an ordinary town, but there were no tall buildings like it is now. Then he turned and looked at the young man behind him. Young man, you must be the one who brought me back to life. He just heard Garp's questioning voice. It can only be him. Can he have the devil fruit ability to control life and death? What a magical ability. At least as far as he knew, he didn't have this kind of devil fruit ability. Orochimaru had an excited smile on his face. That's right, I was the one who resurrected you. From now on, you should become my strongest fighting force. Give this guy a good lesson. The expression on Roger's face was completely frozen. The strongest combat power? Although I am very grateful to you for resurrecting me, because I still have a lot of unfinished business, but I will not just become a thug. I don't know what happened to his son Ace, whom he entrusted to Garp to take care of before he died. And this guy Garp should keep his promise. If Garp were not Marine, he would definitely be a good partner. As for Garp's white hair, he didn't know how much time had passed. And what he is most concerned about is whether the sun god Nika has reappeared in the sea. He is a man who wants to change the world, a legendary man. Liberate the world. It's a pity that he was born more than 20 years ago. Otherwise, there would have been a chance to meet this legendary figure. Chapter 61, Top Conqueror's Dominance. When Orochimaru heard that Roger refused to become his fighting force, he was not angry, but formed a seal with his hands. It's not up to you. Just accept my control. Marine Hero Garp. How about such an ability? Next, please taste it. After forming the seal, he opened his mouth wide and spit out a Kusanagi sword. This is the hardest sword, made of the hardest material. He knew Roger in detail. That is, Roger was not only the owner of the top conqueror's haki, but also the top swordsman. Naturally, such a person must be equipped with a good weapon. Then he threw it in front of Roger and inserted it into the ground, which was enough to show the sharpness of this sword. Roger couldn't help but hold it up and then walk towards Garp, but his face was a little panicked. What did you do to me? Why is my body out of control? Did you control me? Damn it. Garp, be careful. Garp's face has turned serious now. Can this guy still control One Piece Roger? As for spitting out a sword from his mouth, it is nothing unusual compared to resurrecting Roger. He sighed. I misjudged this guy. This guy was much scarier than that little blonde girl. Even One Piece Roger was able to resurrect and was more controllable. At this time, Roger directly raised his Kusanagi sword and swung a terrifying black slash at Garp. Garp clenched his fists, and his fists became extremely black. He directly smashed the terrifying slash and asked aloud, Roger, can you still be controlled by a kid? It would be too embarrassing. Roger was also speechless. He wants to desperately control his body. He is One Piece Roger, so naturally he will not be treated as a puppet by others. But I found that I couldn't feel my body at all and was completely cut off from contact. Shouted, no, I can't control my body at all. At this time, Roger had already rushed in front of Garp, wielding the Kusanagi sword and slashed at Garp. Garp blocked it with a fist. A war is about to break out. The collision of the iron fists and swords of both sides produced a terrifying wind pressure. The strong wind even hit everyone present. Let their hearts feel cold. Minato came behind Brother Snake. Brother Snake, this combat power is really easy to use. It's very good. It can knock this old man down. Orochimaru responded immediately. Certainly, he didn't forget that he was looked down upon by this person, but he didn't like being looked down upon very much. Roger was able to have an even fight with Garp, which shows that the Roger he summoned was at his peak, and by Zetsu's body was really easy to use. While he was happy, he also felt vaguely uneasy. Although there was a reason for this incident, it was to protect his sister, but there is no doubt that it will cause terrifying tremors in the sea. After returning to the family, he may be severely punished by his father. He thought of finding some beautiful beauties for his father. If you don't bring some small gifts back to your father, how can you calm down his anger? But now that something like this has happened, the surrounding civilians have all run away, making it even more difficult to find them. When I met Marine before, it seemed like there was a very good candidate. He turned his attention to the female Marine with a smile on his face. He looks very good, wearing glasses, short hair parted in the middle, and wearing floral clothes that are a bit rustic, but his figure is undoubtedly very good. His face is also very handsome, and he is very young. Great for gifts. Dasky noticed the young man staring at him, as if staring at prey. I felt a cool feeling all over my body. Could it be that you attracted the other person's attention? It seems that he didn't do anything out of the ordinary. At this time, Smoker was paying attention to Roger and Garp in the battle. Totally surprised. Is this the strength of One Piece? To be able to fight Lieutenant General Garp to such an extent was completely evenly matched. That slash was so terrifying that only Lieutenant General Garp could handle it. If he went up, he would be injured just by this terrifying slash. Even if he uses the Logia Devil Fruit ability to smoke, it won't work. One Piece Roger is obviously armed with domineering power, which is the method that can cause harm to himself. One Piece is a legendary figure. It is very normal to be armed and domineering. His achievement in arm color domineering is not necessarily much lower than Garp's arm color domineering. Even Bogart, the lieutenant brought by Garp, also had a solemn look on his face. This kind of battle is definitely not something he can participate in. The only one he can deal with is that terrifying kid. To summon One Piece, all you have to do is control it and give orders to Marine and Smoker. Follow me and catch that boy. After speaking, he rushed out first, and the Marine he brought also rushed out. Smoker and Dasky also made their choices. Although there is no direct affiliation, they also know what is most important at this moment. They obviously couldn't participate in the battle between Lieutenant General Garp and Roger. The only way to stop Roger from committing a crime is to catch the young man. Although this boy is very strong, he does not have the terrifying teleportation ability like the little blonde girl. Faced with the pursuit of so many people, there is definitely no way to escape. Nami and Nokigo were a little anxious when they saw this scene. Roger is dealing with Marine hero Garp. Can Orochimaru deal with so many Marines? Even though he is very strong, he is just a child. But Orochimaru was not afraid at all when facing everyone's attack, and instead shouted, "Roger, stop them from me." Of course, he had no way to deal with it, but he could control Roger. Roger, who was fighting Garp at this moment, focused his eyes and looked directly at the Marines. The terrifying Conqueror's domineering energy spurted out and attacked directly towards those Marines. The terrifying Conqueror's domination directly shook the brains of those Marines. Everyone except Bogart's eyes were blank, and then they fell to the ground with a plop. Even a Marine colonel like Smoker can't withstand Roger's terrifying Conqueror's domineering power, let alone an ordinary Marine like Dusky. Even Bogart felt extremely uncomfortable. He was an elite Marine. I feel a lot of pressure now. Roger's Conqueror's domineering power is still as terrifying as ever. I have felt his Conqueror's domineering power countless times. Otherwise, he would have to fall to the ground and lose consciousness now. Suddenly, he felt a terrible crisis coming. He turned around and saw that it was One Piece Roger running towards him. He swung a slash and attacked him, and he could only wave the knife in his hand to resist desperately, but he was still blown away by this flying slash. Chapter 62, How is Ace? Bogart, who was blown away by Roger's terrifying slash, fell heavily to the ground. His body was shaking continuously, and he could no longer use his strength. The terrifying impact of Conqueror's Haki had already made his body a little stiff. His reaction was not sensitive enough, so he managed to block the terrifying slash, and it was good to be able to save his life. He was a little scared in his heart. One Piece Roger is still as scary as before. At this moment, Garp took action angrily, catching up with Roger, clenching his dark fist as big as a sandbag and hitting his body. In an instant, Roger's body was smashed into pieces. Most of the body was gone. Such a scene shocked Garp himself. Is Roger's body so fragile? You must know that Roger once fought with him, and his iron fist hit him. But Roger, like himself, has a very powerful physique, and he is not someone who could be solved with one blow. Roger's attainments in arm domineering were not much lower than his own. But now his attack actually penetrates his body. Isn't this the real resurrection? No blood guts either. It seems that it is not a real resurrection, but some kind of devil fruit ability. Roger in this state has obviously lost his ability to move. That's fine too. It would be really bad if this weird devil fruit power gave Roger the physical strength he had during his lifetime. Now Garp feels relieved. Roger also found that he couldn't move at this moment, and said happily, "Well done, Garp, so I don't have to be used as a puppet." Garp grinned. "Of course, it's better for you to just bury it in the ground." Roger smiled helplessly after hearing this and asked, "What happened to the thing I asked you to do?" What he was most concerned about now was Ace's affairs. Garp naturally knew what the boy was asking about. He was asked to take care of his son Ace. He didn't think that a little baby could be a threat, let alone that he was of evil blood. Of course, what his father did had nothing to do with Ace. It was just a new life. "Very good. It's just that he went to sea to become a pirate like you. I originally wanted him to become a Marine, but in the end it failed. He has now joined the Whitebeard Pirates and became the captain of their 2nd Division. You can rest assured." Roger looked at Garp in surprise. He didn't expect that this guy actually wanted to train his son to become a Marine. Fortunately, he didn't become one. Otherwise, he would be One Piece and his son would be Marine. Wouldn't this be a big joke? Unexpectedly, his son actually became the captain of Whitebeard's 2nd Division. So his son should recognize Whitebeard as his father. This made him both helpless and relieved. Under the protection of Whitebeard, he should be able to live happily in this world. After all, Whitebeard is a pirate who can rival him. But he doesn't have as big ambitions as himself, but he values his family more. At this time, Garp turned and walked towards Orochimaru. "Just rest in peace, you guy. Now I'm going to catch that scary kid. This kid is really scary. Even One Piece Roger can be resurrected. Maybe there is no more terrifying person on the sea. It must be seized and controlled." Walking towards Orochimaru, he said solemnly, "It's your turn next." Next, he will attack with all his strength, and there is no way for this guy to escape. And the little blonde girl obviously hasn't recovered the ability to teleport yet. Orochimaru said with a smile on his face when he saw Garp walking towards him. "Is this really true? Please look at your back." Garp doesn't know what this guy is up to. Is there something behind him? Turning around, he saw that Roger's body was gradually recovering. The body fragments gradually came together, and Roger's body gradually recovered. It recovered within a few seconds. His eyes widened instantly. His eyes were full of horror. "Roger, why aren't you dead yet, UBD?" Roger also had a wry smile on his face. He didn't know either. This guy's devil fruit ability is really powerful. His body can actually gradually recover. Doesn't this mean he has immortality? No one on the sea has this. What others have is just tenacious vitality. This young man is really extraordinary. Suddenly his body moved and he walked towards Garp. "Garp, be careful." When Garp saw Roger walking over, did he still use him to remind him? My heart was filled with anger. I originally thought that I had killed One Piece Roger with one punch, and all I needed to do next was to control this boy. But I didn't expect that this guy's devil fruit ability was more terrifying than Moonlight Moria, one of the Shichibukai. The corpses created by Moonlight Moria also do not have this ability to automatically repair. But this guy summoned Roger with more than just near-peak abilities. The terrifying Conqueror's Haki in the way of the sword. It's completely like being resurrected. Not only that, he also has the ability to be immortal. It's really bad. This scary kid must be controlled. Garp's momentum surged, and he used Shao to run towards the boy. Orochimaru looked at Garp coming over, not worried at all. Just as Garp arrived, One Piece Roger chased after him with a Kusanagi sword in hand and stood in front of Garp. He started with another terrifying slash. Garp angrily smashed the slash into pieces. "Roger, are you going to stop me again?" Even he couldn't ignore Roger's slash. With Roger blocking him, it would not be so easy for him to take action against that young man. Roger is also helpless, as his body now doesn't obey his orders at all. He didn't know what this devil fruit ability was. When I was alive, I had never heard of such a devil fruit ability. Such heaven-defying devil fruit abilities shouldn't remain unknown. At this moment, the body started to act spontaneously again, waving the Kusanagi sword and rushing towards Garp. Fighting Garp again. Garp had to deal with it seriously. Although Roger's body was a bit weak after his resurrection, it was useless as long as he was not hit. As for Roger's attack, it was of course impossible for him to resist it. If he took his blow forcefully, his body would definitely be seriously injured, which would be meaningless. This is really a difficult opponent, with peak strength and fragile body, but with immortality, which has made up for this shortcoming. Where did this young man come from? Chapter 63, leaving Orochimaru, watched the battle between Roger and Garp with great joy. This one-piece puppet is really easy to use. This kind of attack posture is too strong, and he is worthy of being the top strong man in the sea. Then it's time to leave. The news that he summoned one-piece Roger by himself will probably spread soon. At that time, not only Marine, but even the world government will be shocked, and they will send people here. The three major Marine generals may all come. Although they are worse than Garp, they are more capable and more difficult to deal with. Not to mention the world government. No one knows how powerful it is to be able to stand in the world for 800 years. Facing those strong men, having Roger's trump card is obviously not enough. It's too dangerous to stay here. It's time to return to the family. That's completely safe. Minato also looked happy at the moment, having rested and regained some strength. He walked behind Brother Snake and shouted to Roger in the distance. Roger, give him a good beating. Who allowed Garp to bully her like this before? Roger was very helpless when he heard this. He was not being manipulated. I feel a bit sad that as one piece, I was actually controlled by others after my death. It's really a bit embarrassing. Garp was also speechless. He actually still remembered what happened before and was quite vindictive. Under Orochimaru's control, Roger's offensive became more and more fierce. This guy bullies his sister and looks down on himself, so he must be severely punished. Garp felt very uncomfortable fighting Roger. Roger, this kid, is too fierce. He seems to have endless physical strength, and his first hand is a flying slash. Even he was a little overwhelmed. Blocking such an attack will consume a lot of stamina. After all, he is also aged. Orochimaru naturally did not control Roger to use the most powerful attack. He knew that Roger had a very powerful move called Divine Avoidance. This move may be able to directly destroy Rogtown, because Orochimaru doesn't want to kill the hero Garp. Garp is one of the few Marines who is admired by his father. He is a breath of fresh air in Marine. As a Marine, I only capture pirates, not to serve the celestial dragons as a world noble. Such people are unique in Marine. Of course, Orochimaru doesn't want to destroy the town either. His father wouldn't like it if he caused havoc for no reason. He led Minato towards the port. On the way, he passed the handsome Marine who wore glasses, short hair parted in the middle, and wore a floral and earthy shirt, and neatly carried him on his body. My father would probably like such a gentle woman, and she would just become his concubine. This time he made such a big fuss, which will definitely make his father angry. Bring this gift back to calm his anger. At least don't be so angry. Minato was a little confused about Snake's behavior. Brother Snake, what are you doing? Orochimaru smiled. This is the woman I brought back to my father. I hope my father won't be angry because we made too much noise. Minato smiled knowingly. This female Marine seems pretty good. I brought two back to my father. My father will definitely be very happy. Orochimaru also laughed after hearing this. Indeed, my little sister is really a genius, and she brought two of them back together as sisters. It feels like it's not enough to take only one, and I don't know if there will be a chance to capture others. Garp, who couldn't separate himself from the battle with Roger, watched the group leave, feeling a little anxious. They even brought a female Marine, which made him extremely angry. It was simply a shame to let him kidnap Marine. When he took action, he shouted angrily, "Put that Marine down." Minato chuckled. That's not okay. We brought this man back for our father. He will no longer be one of your Marines. Orochimaru looked at her suddenly. Don't talk. Saying such words might make this Marine target his father. My father doesn't like this kind of trouble. He has always been lazy and healthy. If Marine were to target him, that will definitely make you even more angry. Even Minato, the most favored girl, might not be able to bear such a thing. Minato also felt something was wrong and was a little frightened. Grandpa, just forget what I just said. Garp was really PD off. Did this little girl think he was an idiot? Obviously, I heard it with my own ears. But he also came to something even more terrifying. That is, there's a father behind these two brats. So will their fathers be even more terrifying? My body felt a little cold and I was frightened. These two people are already so terrifying, and they will only become more difficult to deal with when they grow up if they have sufficient physical strength. It is simply impossible to catch them by yourself. Is it from a big family? But this is also impossible. Although I have never understood it, it is impossible not to come into contact with it after walking on the sea for so many years. I have never heard of such a powerful family in the Warring States period. It was impossible for the Warring States period to hide it from himself. After all, I am his helper and an old friend who has fought together. Many things are handled by myself. Then it may be that there is a terrorist family hidden. He looked at Roger, who was fighting against him. Do you know who this man's father is? Of course, Roger couldn't figure it out. I don't know, I just woke up. He himself was shocked. For such a powerful person, how powerful must his father be? Could such a powerful person be Joey Boy? My eyes lit up at the thought. Maybe following this young man can answer the questions in his heart. Garp felt helpless and ignored his father's affairs for now. How to deal with Roger was now a difficult problem. Even more difficult to deal with than Roger alive. He finally discovered it. Roger's momentum has always been at its peak. I have a bad guess in my mind. Is this guy's physical strength also unlimited? It's too scary. At this moment, Orochimaru carried Tashiki on his back, took Minato with him, called no Kigo, Nami, and Kuina and left. Naturally, no Kigo, Nami, and Kuina had no objections. The daily necessities have been purchased, so of course we have to leave. If the news of Roger's resurrection spread, the sea would shake. When the time comes, Rodtown will definitely be filled with powerful people. It will be better to leave this place of right and wrong as soon as possible. Next, you can meet Minato's father. I don't know what kind of strange man he is. Chapter 64, The Battle, is over. Nami felt helpless and happy when she saw Orochimaru abducting the female marine and giving it to her father as a gift. Since this marine was their enemy and wanted to force Minato to join the Marines, this behavior was so shameless, and he deserved such an end. At the same time, she was also glad that she met Minato instead of Orochimaru. Otherwise, she might have become a prisoner and given to her father as a gift. Now she and Nosy Kona did it voluntarily, not by force. There is still an essential difference. At least she doesn't feel so aggrieved. If this female Marine wakes up and learns of such a thing, she will probably be very distressed. Orochimaru is indeed not as innocent as her sister, but rather a bit vicious. Soon after, several people came to the port and drove the boat out to sea. Garp wanted to stop him, but he didn't have the energy to pursue him. Every time he wanted to catch up, Roger would attack him like crazy. It entangled him so tightly that he couldn't free his hands. This guy Roger really seems to have endless strength, and his full strength is comparable to that of his peak period. It's already good if you can withstand this guy's attack. What makes him feel bad is that the battle between the two has destroyed the surrounding terrain. At least the ground has been completely broken. At this time, the residents of the town were hiding far away, even leaving Rodtown. Those who were hit by such battle fluctuations would be seriously injured. If they were hit from the front, their lives would definitely be lost. Naturally, these residents are worried about their houses and goods. The fight between these two men was so terrible that one of them cried out with some sadness. Who are these two people? Why are they causing havoc in the town? One of them is wearing Marine clothes, but he is not a local Marine. But even if Marine captures the pirates, there is no need to go to war here. Can't we just change to another place? How? Is this protecting them? It was obvious that their property had been fatally damaged. This is also what most people think. They're also dissatisfied. And of course they are confused. Is there such a terrifying guy in the East China Sea? The strength of these two people is much more terrifying than Colonel Smoker. Shouldn't such a terrifying strong man stay in the Grand Channel? That's where a strong man like this should stay. An older man was completely frightened, sweating profusely, and said tremblingly, "If I remember correctly, the guy in the red coat is Roger One Piece, who has been dead for decades. I once watched the execution of that year, and this was what One Piece Roger looked like at that time. At that time, he was also excited by Roger's last words and wanted to seize the legendary secret treasure, but he was struck by the cruelty of reality before he even went to sea. Not long after I set sail on my boat, I was robbed. Not only was my money robbed, but my boat was also robbed. Fortunately, his life was saved. In the end, I had no choice but to give up this dream, stay in this small town, and open a shop to make a living." Some people's faces changed when they heard this, and they didn't believe it all. "What are you talking about, old guy? Isn't One Piece Roger already publicly executed by Marine? How could he come back to life again? This is impossible." They don't believe it at all. The execution of One Piece Roger is a recognized fact in the sea. Marine, even if it is a world government, will it deceive the world? Will there be a fake execution? Absolutely impossible. Marine is the mortal enemy of pirates, and being able to execute One Piece is a huge blow to pirates. It's very meaningful. That's why he chose to be executed in Roger Town, which is Roger's hometown. Executing Roger meant the beginning and the end, but another man analyzed it. That Marine, I know his identity, is the Marine hero Garp. Who else can fight fiercely with him like this besides One Piece Roger? The 4 red-haired sea emperors today, Shanks, naturally have red hair. The Big Mom of the Big Mom pirates is a woman. Whitebeard pirates, Whitebeard's beard is white. As for Kaido of the Beast pirates, I heard that he is a ghost and has a huge body. The others looked at each other in shock after hearing this. This man has a point. If the man in the red coat isn't one of the current 4 emperors, then who else but Roger can take on Marine hero Garp? Coupled with what the old man said before, they all started to believe it. I felt frightened in my heart. Although they are proud that such a big man has appeared in their hometown, they would be horrified if they were alive. This is a very dangerous person. He is One Piece, a more powerful and ferocious existence than the 4 emperors. God knows what he will do. At this moment, a man dressed as a red-nosed clown hiding in the corner was full of excitement. It was really the captain who had come back to life. He was Captain Buggy, who was defeated by Luffy and wanted to ambush the Straw Hat Pirates in Road Town to take revenge on them. I didn't expect to see such a scene. Someone could actually summon the long-dead Captain Roger. It was really amazing. At the same time, he also felt a little angry that someone dared to fool Captain Roger. I want to step forward to stop him, but I know my own strength. There's no way to stop it. Standing on a roof was a man wearing a dark green coat, covering his head with a look of horror on his face. There's an obvious red scar on his face. I didn't expect that this time when I returned to the East China Sea, I would encounter such a strange thing. A truly remarkable person has appeared in the East China Sea. The long-haired boy wearing a kimono and the little blonde girl wearing a green vest. Each one has weirder abilities than the last. I also heard that his father was such a terrorist force. Never heard of it. I must catch up and get to know each other. It may be of great help to the cause of the Revolutionary Army, overthrowing the rule of the world government celestial dragons and establishing an equal world. Thinking of this, his body turned into a breeze and flew towards the port. An hour later, the battle between Roger and Garp ended. It was not that Garp defeated Roger. Instead, Roger turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared. Naturally, he was summoned back by Orochimaru using necromancy. At this moment, the Rodtown area around the 2 of them had been reduced to ruins. This was even if Roger didn't use dodge. After all, Orochimaru really didn't want to kill Garp. He just ordered him to stop this person so that they could leave easily. At this moment, Garp's clothes were already in tatters, and there were multiple wounds exposed all over his body. Of course, these could not kill him. Staring blankly at the place where Roger disappeared, this guy suddenly disappeared again, just as he appeared. But he was also glad that Roger had disappeared, otherwise the entire town of Roger would have been destroyed. He would not deliberately destroy town buildings, but Roger had no scruples at all, also because he was controlled by others. I'm not sure that I can completely kill Roger. Even if his body is broken, he can slowly recover and continue fighting. In the end, his physical strength was obviously insufficient, but this guy's momentum was still the same as at the beginning. She doesn't look tired at all. This is totally inconsistent with common sense. So Garp can conclude that the summoned Roger really has physical strength that will not be exhausted. Immortal body, inexhaustible physical strength. It was so terrifying, even more difficult to deal with than Roger alive. At this moment, his heart was in a mess. No way. Roger was manipulated to reappear in the sea. This sea will definitely be in chaos. Of course, what is even more terrifying is the person who can do this. Can't think anymore. Thinking was not something he was good at. After cleaning the battlefield, report it to the Warring States period. Maybe he knows what to do. Chapter 65 Dragon's Invitation. By this time, Nami had already left for an hour with everyone in his boat. Rogtown is no longer visible behind him and is surrounded by the sea. Those Marines should never be able to catch up again, and of course it's impossible to catch up. The next step is to enter the Grand Channel through the upside-down mountain and then enter the windless zone to reach the island where the Minato family is located. At this moment, Orochimaru was very satisfied. Although there was a big fuss, the harvest was definitely huge. One Piece Roger, who can rival the Marine hero, became his puppet, standing on his own deck now. He naturally has to use necromancy to summon him back. Roger was also surprised at this moment. He was originally fighting with Garp, but now he appeared in this place. Surrounded by the sea, Rogtown has long since disappeared. Obviously, it is far out to sea. Looking at the long-haired boy, his expression was extremely solemn. What on earth do you want to do by summoning me? And what kind of devil fruit ability do you have? He felt very aggrieved. As One Piece, Roger was manipulated after his death. He was really angry. Orochimaru did not answer his words, but formed a seal with his hands, and then Roger's eyes closed, completely unconscious. Everyone else looked surprised. One Piece suddenly appeared on the boat. Just like in Rogertown, Roger's coffin suddenly appeared. This is somewhat similar to Minato's teleportation ability, but not quite the same. At this moment, a small boat quickly caught up with a man wearing a dark green coat. Nami saw it and said cautiously, "There's a small boat approaching quickly." Several other people turned their heads to the rear. Someone is really catching up. The boat quickly caught up, maintaining the same speed as the boat controlled by Nami. Naturally, he saw Roger standing on the deck, and he couldn't help but be surprised that he actually appeared here. He had obviously fought with the old man before, and it seemed to have some kind of special ability, but this was not surprising. After all, he had seen Roger resurrected with his own eyes. It is not simply controlling the corpse, but resurrecting Roger with consciousness and memory. Orochimaru looked at this guy with sinister eyes. He didn't expect that when Roger reappeared in the sea, someone with bad intentions would come so soon. Long noticed the young man's sinister gaze and quickly explained, "I'm a revolutionary dragon. I don't feel bad about coming here. Can I pay a visit to your father?" From what these two people said, they learned that they also had a figure called their father. It stands to reason that his father should be very strong. If he were not strong, he would not be able to give birth to such a child. Of course, maybe their father is weak, but is also very good to visit his father to recruit these two talents to join the Revolutionary Army. With such ability and combat power, they can become the pillars of the Revolutionary Army. Whether it's his ability to teleport or control Roger, who has peak strength, he is a very powerful ability. These two people already have the qualifications to be the top powerhouses in this sea, especially Orochimaru, who has completely become the top powerhouse in this sea. If he can control Roger, how many people are Roger's opponents? Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling a little depressed and a little angry. This guy Minato revealed the word father and was really discovered by someone who was interested. I was thinking about whether to kill this person. Long also felt the danger, and the young man looked like he was about to take action. This young man is really difficult to get along with. His own abilities are not low, and there is also a controlled Roger on the ship. Roger has the same terrifying fighting power as the old man. Besides, I am not here to provoke. Reiterated again. I didn't mean any harm. At this time, Minato asked at the beginning, "What is the Revolutionary Army?" She had never heard her brother say that. Nami's face was full of surprise at this time. The Revolutionary Army is a criminal organization that wants to overthrow the world government. Its leader Long is a very terrifying criminal with a bounty of up to 5 billion belly. Dragon grinned. It seems that you know my identity. However, the purpose of the Revolutionary Army is not just to overthrow the rule of the world government, but to overthrow the rule of the Tianlong people and build a new world where everyone is equal and can live in harmony. Now, even Nokigo was shocked. You actually want to overthrow the rule of the celestial dragons? They are the nobles of the world. The name of the celestial dragon is known to ordinary people like her. The Tianlong people are the most noble people in the world. Anyone who contradicts them may be executed. No one dares to care about them. They're the most powerful people in the sea. Even Marine has to protect them. The dragon was dismissive. What kind of nobles are they? They're villains who bully others at will and turn others into slaves. They are much more hateful than pirates. He used to be a Marine, but later found that dealing with pirates would not change the world at all. Only by dealing with the real source of evil, the world government and the celestial dragons, can the world be changed. Now, even Minato was interested. Overthrow the rule of the celestial dragons? She knew that these people were indeed very hateful, and her father didn't like them either. Brother Snake, I think this is a bit interesting. If the dragon has a smile on his face and feels interesting, that's a good start. I wonder if the two of you are willing to join the Revolutionary Army, work together to overthrow the world government, the rule of the celestial dragons, and establish a world where everyone is equal. Minato had an idea. Brother Snake, what do you think? Do you want to join? Chapter 66, The Dragon Leaves. Orochimaru didn't say anything. Nami had the impulsive idea to block Shirsue's door first. Minato was so easily bewitched, and he immediately objected. Minato, no. Overthrowing the celestial dragons is a very dangerous act. World government is a giant that has ruled the world for 800 years. He has powerful combat powers like Marine and even unknown combat powers under his command. Although I don't know the specifics, there must be some. It is an existence that even one piece cannot shake. Otherwise, how could it be publicly executed? You're going to be in danger. Minato looked at Sister Nami, nodded. You're right, but if my father knows the truth, everything will be fine. Furthermore, it will be completely successful if I ask a few of my brothers to join together. Her father must be invincible, and any world government will be destroyed if he takes action. And her brothers are more powerful than herself and Brother Snake. If they are willing to take action, they will definitely not encounter any danger. At most, there is only a small risk. You just need to be careful. Long was surprised. In the eyes of this little girl, is her father such a powerful being? This should be true. After all, the little girl is so strong. What surprised him was that she had other brothers who were so powerful. This father must be so good at giving birth. The long-haired boy's abilities are terrifying enough, but I can't imagine how strong his brother is. This is much more powerful than his own son, Straw Hat Luffy. His son is none other than Straw Hat Luffy, and he wanted to take a look at him when he came back this time. Unexpectedly, he also went to sea to become a pirate, so he naturally did not stop him. Nothing can stop a boy from going out to sea to find his dream. After all, he himself is fighting for his dream. Now that I know this information, I feel that this family must win over. Not only is his father powerful, but his children are also very powerful. The orange-haired woman was right. The power of the world government is too great. Marine alone is very powerful, and there are still many powerful people behind it. The current Revolutionary Army is in great need of combat power, he said with a pleading tone. Please let me pay a visit to your father. Orochimaru said coldly. Father doesn't want others to disturb him, so just leave. Otherwise, isn't this guy's purpose to invite his family to be the opponent's thugs? He even wanted to win over his father. Are you kidding me? How could their family become someone else's thugs? Although the other party's idea of creating an equal world seems very great. But what does this have to do with their family? There is no need for them to do such a thankless job. In his eyes, as long as the brothers and sisters in the family take action, They can already take over the entire world, and this is without his father taking action. If my father takes action, he can quickly take over the world by using violent means and killing those who resist. There is no need to join any revolutionary army and help others complete other people's ideas. Instead of that, why not take over the world for yourself? Minato said quickly after hearing this. Brother Snake, don't do anything. You'd better tell your father about this. Maybe he will agree. Creating an equal world feels very good. Long had a headache. This long-haired boy was very difficult to get along with. Fortunately, this little girl was very nice and might have some fun. Orochimaru's face was calm, but the younger sister was still too naive. But just do as she says. Okay, I will talk to my father about this. He could feel that this man was not simple. After all, there was a reward of 5 billion belly. I was afraid that even with One Piece Roger in hand, he would not be able to kill him. Long agreed immediately. Good. Then I'm waiting for your news. If you have any ideas, please contact Koshiro in Shimatsuki village. He will naturally have a way to inform me. If you can pass on the news of the meeting, you have achieved great results. Let's wait for the meeting to convince you about the rest. Kuina asked with a puzzled look on her face. Are you my father's friend? Or is my father also a revolutionary soldier? Long was stunned for a moment. Father? Suddenly his eyes widened. Looking at Kuina like this, it seems like she has met her several times before. A long time has passed. My memory is a bit unclear, so I never recognized it before. Koshiro is not a revolutionary soldier. He is just an important friend of mine. You are not Koshiro's daughter, are you? Are you also being controlled? His face was frozen, and he was angry, and he said coldly, it is not a good behavior to manipulate the dead at will. Naturally, he has no objection to the opponent controlling One Piece. One Piece can also be used as a huge combat power. But what is controlling Kuina? She is the daughter of her best friend, and she has no fighting ability. In his eyes, this was quite excessive. Since she was the daughter of an old friend, Long even wanted to let the boy untie Kuina. Gulina waved her hands and said, I have not been manipulated and can move freely. I will go to the family island to get a true resurrection. Orochimaru shouted immediately. Okay, stop talking. Kuina immediately stopped talking. It seemed that the real resurrection could not be revealed. He was talking too much and shouldn't offend him. After all, his resurrection depended on his father. Long's face was frozen, and his heart was rolling like ocean waves. Kuina just said true resurrection. He also saw the scene where Roger was hit by the old man and his body was shattered. The body breaks into pieces of matter and then reassembles. This is, of course, not a true resurrection. The true resurrection involves flesh and blood. Could this boy's father even do such a thing? It was impossible not to be shocked in his heart. He found that he still underestimated this family. Not only is he very powerful in combat, he even has magical abilities. However, the young man looked wary, and it seemed that he could not continue to investigate further. It is not a good thing to have a gap with such a terrifying force. Every force has its own secrets. It was time for him to leave and rush back to his Revolutionary Army base. Everyone, I'll take my leave then. After saying that, he used his devil fruit ability to control the boat and left quickly. He still couldn't hide his excitement and nervousness. I hope his father can choose to cooperate with him. If they can cooperate, it will definitely be of great help to the cause of the Revolutionary Army, and even be a decisive force. Maybe he doesn't have to develop his strength slowly like he does now. Chapter 67 No, after the dragon left, Nami drove the boat towards Upside Down Mountain. I went upstream and then downstream, successfully passing Upside Down Mountain, passing Twin Heads, and bypassing a large whale there. That's a really scary whale. Its body is extremely huge. Nami was extremely surprised. Is this a creature on the Grand Line? Such a Poseidon is much larger than the Poseidon in the East China Sea. Then continue towards the Grand Waterway. At this time, Dasky, who was tightly bound, woke up, opened his eyes, and saw the blue sky. Looking around, I saw that I was already on the sea. I was confused. What was going on? I remember feeling a terrifying shock in my brain before, and I suddenly lost consciousness after seeing the little blonde girl and the terrifying boy who resurrected Roger. I still don't know what happened. I was kidnapped. I don't know what the situation is like in Rogtown now, but what I should worry about most now is myself. Thinking of the scary long-haired boy staring at me before, my body felt chilly. What on earth did this guy want to do to me? Although he was scared, he still asked, "You guy, why did you arrest me? Let me go quickly." Now she no longer wants to catch these guys. She doesn't have the ability. If they can appear here, it means that Marine Hero Garp cannot catch them. This is normal. After all, these scary guys even resurrected One Piece Roger. Orochimaru looked at her with a smile on his face. "Of course I will give you as a gift to my father and become my father's concubine." After hearing this, Daisuke's face suddenly turned pale and she immediately refused. "No, I don't want it. She has just grown up. How can she marry a man and become a concubine? I didn't expect this guy to have such an idea for me. These people are really criminals. If he resurrected Roger and disrupted the world, he must be a criminal, and now he wants to kidnap himself. Just like a human trafficker." Orochimaru looked indifferent and waved his hand. "It's not up to you. Now you are my prisoner, and the power of disposal is in my hands." Daisuke looked ashen. Did she really want to be his father's concubine? Damn it. Minato on the side was puzzled. "It should be an honor for you to marry my father. My father is a very powerful man, and he can give birth to powerful children like us. You can definitely add younger siblings to my family." The older siblings more or less inherited their father's abilities. These abilities are more magical and powerful than most devil fruit abilities in this world. Daisuke was completely frightened when she heard it. Is this going to give birth to a child? This is even more terrifying. Is she going to have a baby at such a young age? Wouldn't he be like a civilian kidnapped by pirates, whose body would be trampled on? No, absolutely not. His body was shaking. As for what the other party said about giving birth to capable children, this had no motivation at all for her. She didn't want to be forced to give birth to a child. Even if she gave birth to a child, she had to do it voluntarily. These two guys were really devils. They actually had such bad intentions. Orochimaru looked at the noisy woman, took out the tape from his sleeves, and taped it directly on his mouth. It was much quieter now. Nami and Nokigo watched this scene helplessly. In fact, they don't really like Orochimaru doing such a thing. As a woman, they naturally know that women don't like to be forced. But this was Marine's initiative, so this Marine was only to blame. Besides, they probably have no way to stop it verbally. There's no such ability. And they're also glad that they are willing not only to resurrect their mother, Belmir. In their eyes, a man who can give birth to such a powerful child must be a very good spouse. There is no mother who does not want her children to become talented. At this moment in Rogtown, during the previous battle with Roger, Garp carefully stood in front of the unconscious Marines to prevent them from being harmed. Now they woke up one after another and began to clean up the battlefield. Now Rogtown is a mess. Garp decided to report this matter to Sengoku. "Now it is true that I have lost all my mood, but once I returned to Donghai, something terrible happened, which made me feel like I was dreaming." When he came to a deserted place, he sat down cross-legged and dialed the Sengoku phone number. Soon, the other end of the phone was connected, and Sengoku from Marine Headquarters asked, "Garp, why are you in the mood to call me? Did you catch that little girl?" "The little girl who defeated Eren is a talented person." Garp replied helplessly. "I met him, but I didn't catch him." Sengoku asked in surprise, "Are you kidding? You can't catch me with your ability, so don't you still want to catch me?" This old friend is all one-minded. It is true that the little girl did not make a mistake, and he did not arrest her. Or did he not impress Garp by promising enough senbei? Garp replied helplessly, "What happened to the little blonde girl is no longer important. What is important is her brother, an even more terrifying boy. He actually resurrected Roger." Waring States on the other end of the phone was stunned after hearing this. He didn't understand what it meant and asked, "Garp, are you kidding me? Roger's body has turned to ashes. How can he be resurrected?" It is true that there are devil fruit abilities in the sea that can use the corpses of the dead, just like Moonlight Moria and Shichibukai can use corpses, but Moonlight Moria definitely cannot control the corpse that turns to ashes. Or are there other terrifying devil fruit abilities? Impossible? He had never heard that when he became a Marine Fleet Admiral and came into contact with the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, he should not have the ability to use ashes. The disposal of Roger's body was personally handled by the world government, and they felt that there was no problem in handling it this way. Therefore, it is impossible for Roger to be resurrected in this world. Any devil fruit ability should prevent Roger from being resurrected and turned into ashes. Garp's tone was low. I saw this with my own eyes, and I don't know what kind of ability it is. The most terrifying thing is that these two siblings may have a mysterious family, and their father is even more terrifying. Warring State's mind on the other end of the phone went blank. What's this all about? The scary boy resurrected Roger, and now an even more terrifying family has appeared. Why hasn't he heard of a family with this ability? Chapter 68, A Bad Woman. After Sengoku received the information sent back by Garp, his mind went blank and he thought briefly. What kind of family is this mysterious family? There are indeed powerful families on the sea. For example, North Blue's Vinsmoke family and the Big Mom Pirates are essentially a big family. But after thinking about it for a long time, I never thought that a family with the ability to resurrect could be a hidden family. That would be a bit bad. Marine has never had any news about this, which shows that this family has hidden deep enough. His heart was in a mess. Think back to past information. But nothing suspicious was found. Is this guy Garp kidding? But he would never make such a joke. Roger is really resurrected. Maybe there are forces behind the scenes with a big plan. The top priority now is to block the news of Roger's resurrection and let such news leak into the sea. I don't know how it will boil. That's One Piece Roger. How many people want to find him and seize the legendary secret treasure? Furthermore, he was also afraid that One Piece Roger would make a comeback. In that case, the hard-won balance of the sea would be destroyed again. The power of pirates will undoubtedly increase, overwhelming Marine, and the world will once again be plunged into turmoil. He shouted immediately, "Garp, you guys blocked the message, right?" Garp was stunned. By the way, why didn't he think of blocking the news? He could only say tremblingly, "This is not the case. I think the news may have spread to the sea. Rogtown is a prosperous town. It was crowded with people when I came here, but now there are only a few people left. Who knows where the others have gone? It is very likely that someone has already gone to sea with such news." Sungwa's face turned dark. This guy Garp was really careless in what he did. Can such news not be blocked? Sighed deeply. It was too much to ask of this careless old fellow. Forget it. Now is not the time to be angry. Then you hurry back to Marine headquarters and report the situation in detail. In addition, prepare for the coming storm. The news of Roger's resurrection will definitely cause a huge commotion if it spreads to the sea. At the same time, he also had a bad feeling in his heart, that is, the world government might question him. After all, this incident happened in Rogue Town, which is managed by Marine, and it actually resurrected Rogue. Garp was stunned for a moment. Did he have to go back to Marine headquarters just after arriving in Donghai? By the way, where's this guy Luffy? Looking around, he was no longer there, actually running away. An unknown fire surged in my heart. This brat actually went to sea to become a pirate. But it's no longer time to worry about this guy. We have to go back to Marine headquarters. To make a timely response, he always felt that something terrible was about to happen. Roger has been resurrected. Can it still be scary? On the other side, Nami continued to drive the boat on the Great Channel, where the astronomical phenomena and climate changed drastically. Nami was very excited and asked Orochimaru, "Orochimaru, how long until we arrive?" According to what was said before, one should advance on the Great Channel and then enter the windless zone to reach his family. Orochimaru said slowly. After passing the Whiskey Peak, then head towards the windless zone in the northwest, and then go straight ahead to reach our family island. Nami nodded. Okay, it looks like it's not that far away. Nuwa Kigeo looked expectant. Once there, you can resurrect his mother Belmel. I don't know if he will accept me. Maybe it's just my wishful thinking. She felt that her beauty was not as good as Nami, but Nami should be fine. Nami's skin is much fairer than mine and plumper. Of course, judging from Nami's appearance, she has no objection to such a thing. Like myself, I have fallen in love with this magical man, a child who could give birth to children with strange abilities like Minato and Orochimaru. Kuina was also extremely excited that she could truly be resurrected and continue her agreement with Zoro. After he goes back, his father will definitely be very happy to see him. Minato also had a happy face. He had had enough fun this time. I haven't seen my father and mother for a long time, and I miss them a little. The only unhappy people on this ship are probably Orochimaru and Tashi. Dasky was a little scared and a little angry. It's terrible that she has to become a man's concubine and even have a child. She is really unlucky. Orochimaru was also worried. My father would be very angry if he knew that he and others got into trouble. I never thought of hiding it from my father, and I couldn't hide it. Originally, after resurrecting One Piece Roger, he could secretly take him away without anyone noticing. If Garp hadn't appeared, the other Marines wouldn't be worth mentioning. Roger would have been able to defeat those Marines without the help of the resurrected Roger. I originally thought that by resurrecting Kuina this time and making my father happy, I could get Mangekyou Sharingan. Even if I have a powerful puppet like Roger, I still long for it when faced with such magical eyes. Those are really a pair of eyes that make people yearn for them. Those are eyes with special patterned pupils, which are extremely intimidating just by looking at them. I don't know if bringing a female Marine back will be enough to calm my father's anger. It feels like it's not safe enough. It would be nice if I could bring a few more with me. Like Minato, he brought two. At this moment, a sea ship came in front. There is a man and a woman on it. Orochimaru was looking forward to it, hoping that the woman in front of him was a pretty beauty. Wouldn't it be safe enough to bring another one back to his father? There's even a chance to get a Mangekyou Sharingan. Apart from that, there is probably no other way to make his father happy. After a while, the two ships passed each other. Orochimaru saw two people standing on the deck opposite, one of whom was a man, wearing a shoddy crown and two strange beards. The other one has a high ponytail, blue hair, and a coat. The figure alone is good, and she is very slender, but the face is not good. It is too thin and not good-looking, and the dress is a bit strange. This feeling is undoubtedly a very negative feeling. Shaked his head. What a terrible woman. If such a woman was brought back to her father, not only it would make him happy, but it would definitely make him angry. He sighed deeply. Chapter 69. Fortunately, the two people on the other ship were also observing the passing ship, wanting to see if the people on it were pirates. If it is a pirate, lead it into Whiskey Peak and then gather everyone's strength to kill it. Yes, they are members of Baroque Studio. The man is Mr. Nine and the woman is Miss Wednesday. But what surprised them was that the long-haired boy on the opposite boat said such insulting words, which made both of them stunned. Mr. Nine couldn't help but look at his partner Miss Wednesday. Although he is not very good-looking, he is not bad in appearance. This boy's vision is too high. Miss Wednesday looked angry. Actually calling her bad? There is only one woman on this ship. Doesn't this mean who she is? She was originally Vivi, the princess of the kingdom of Alabasta. The undercover agent is in the Baroque Studio and wants to investigate the mastermind behind the Baroque Studio who incited people to rebel in the country of Alabasta. She is a princess, not to mention the most beautiful woman on the sea, but she is definitely not a bad person, even if she's dressed like this. She is definitely not a bad woman. Of course, I dress like this to protect myself and prevent outsiders from recognizing my identity. At this time, the two ships were completely separated. Mista looked angry on Wednesday. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Unforgivable. To actually call her bad is the biggest insult. No woman doesn't care about her appearance. Mr. Nine on the side said comfortingly, "My partner, you're by no means a bad person. You are a beauty. I'm going to turn the boat back and teach them a lesson for you." Then he quickly controlled the rudder. Under his control, the ship turned 180 degrees. Then quickly catch up with the boat in front. Miss Wednesday said a little embarrassed, "Is this okay? We still have a mission." This is no ordinary mission. Their mission is to go to Twin Capes to hunt down the whale named Laboon to provide food for Whiskey Town. And this is a task given by Baroque Studio. If you don't complete the task, you will be executed. Even if the time limit is exceeded, if you don't complete it, you will be executed as a traitor. The punishment can be said to be quite severe. Mr. Nine said indifferently, "Don't worry, it's not a problem. There were only 3 women and 3 children on the small boat just now. There's nothing to be afraid of. It only takes a few minutes to beat them up. This naughty boy dares to insult my companions. How can I let him go so easily? Miss Wednesday looked grateful. You are indeed my good partner. In fact, she really wanted to beat that guy up. What are these eyes for? She is obviously naturally beautiful, right? Otherwise, her anger cannot be eliminated. Soon under the control of Mr. Nine, the ship quickly caught up with the ship in front, and then he quickly turned the rudder and landed in front of the ship. Nami looked at the ship and hurriedly maneuvered the pirate ship to a stop. He stopped narrowly, avoided the impact, and said with an angry look on his face, "What do you guys want?" Almost hit. That was the result of the ship's destruction. That would add huge trouble. This is a great waterway, and God knows if falling into the water would attract the attention of Poseidons. Mr. Nine and Miss jumped directly onto the boat deck on Wednesday, Mr. Nine asked. You asked me why this long-haired naughty kid actually dared to insult my companion as a bad woman. She is obviously a great beauty. Nami looked at this frivolously dressed woman. She had a good figure and good skin, but this high ponytail was really a bad hairstyle, which completely added negative points to herself. Maybe if she changed her hairstyle, she would be a really nice woman. Orochimaru was very upset at the moment. Seeing these two people messing with him, he didn't have any temper at all. A direct threat. Get off the boat, or we will throw you in the sea to feed the fish. Mr. Nine became even more angry after hearing this. Okay, a naughty kid actually dares to be so arrogant on the Grand Waterway. It seems that I must teach you a lesson today. He took out 2 silver iron rods directly from his clothes, intending to attack them. Miss warned on Wednesday, just teach him a lesson. Mr. Nine responded with a smile. Okay. Nami was speechless. It was not good to provoke anyone, but this person, Orochimaru himself, is also very strong. Even Garp's serious punch did not cause any damage. And the man with the crown in front looks like a miscellaneous soldier. How could he be his opponent? Isn't this just asking for trouble? And that's exactly what happened. He brandished the iron rod and attacked Orochimaru. The speed he thought was fast was too slow in Orochimaru's eyes, and he directly grasped the waving silver iron rod with both hands. Then he stretched out his foot and kicked him in the abdomen, kicking him directly back to his ship, smashing holes in the ship's mast and cabin. This shows the power of this kick. He lost consciousness on the spot. After doing all this, Orochimaru was not satisfied, but turned to look at Miss Wednesday. This was provoked by someone else, Gate of Pain. As for saying it was bad, he didn't think he was wrong. Compared with the 3 women on the boat, such a woman was really bad. There is no way to give it as a gift to my father. At this moment, Miss Wednesday, also known as Princess Vivi, is frightened. Is she still a teenager? It's too scary. Mr. Nine is not that powerful, but he is not bad either. After all, he has been on the Grand Channel for so many years. She is stronger than herself. After all, she is a princess and her fighting power is not strong. And looking at the other person like this, staring at him fiercely like a lion majesty, she felt fear, and this time she kicked a hard board and quickly apologized and begged for mercy. Sorry, I'm leaving now. He turned around hurriedly and wanted to jump back to his ship. But Orochimaru was not willing to let her go. He summoned a snake from his cuffs and quickly flew towards the woman, tying her up tightly. I just couldn't move anymore. He even lost his balance and lay on his back on the deck. Orochimaru came closer to see him like this. The appearance is really too bad to be my father's concubine or a gift to my father. Minato came over to take a look at this time. It is indeed not as good-looking as Sister Nami. If I take her back, my father will be unhappy. Brother Snake, throw her back into the boat. Vivi was dumbfounded that she actually wanted to become a concubine, and she was shocked. Fortunately, I am dressed like this. Otherwise, wouldn't it be terrible if they could see his true appearance? She doesn't want to become her father's concubine. She has important things to do. That is to bring the news back to the kingdom that the mastermind behind the Baroque studio is Shichibukai Clodar. Chapter 70 Big Secret Treasure. Of course, Orochimaru agreed with Minato's words. So he walked over and threw the woman on the ground back to his ship. Just take one back with you this time. It's better than none. Princess Vivi looked horrified at the rough treatment she was about to receive. She might have been thrown back on her ship like Mr. Nine, but she was actually very happy inside. That's fine. She doesn't want to become her father's concubine. Are you kidding? She is a princess, after all. At this moment, Nami rushed over. Wait a moment. Vivi is a little strange. What does this orange-haired woman want to do? Orochimaru is also puzzled. What is this woman going to do? But the movement still stopped. Nami bent down and squatted on the ground, took off the hairband on Princess Vivi's head, and her blue hair immediately spread to both sides. Nami herself was surprised to see such a woman. This temperament is completely different. There is a noble temperament, and the appearance is needless to say. Such appearance is not inferior to mine. Seeing such an appearance, Orochimaru's depression immediately disappeared. This is really interesting. Just by taking off the hair, she becomes a very elegant beauty. If you give such a gift to your father, he will definitely be happy. Minato was also surprised. Brother Snake, she seems to be very good looking. Orochimaru nodded. Yes, you can take it back now. This person is no worse than the two women Minato brought back. The temperament I had just now was really too down. Maybe I was dressing up like this on purpose. But it doesn't matter, it's already in his hands anyway. Minato said with a smile. So you can take two back with you. Vivi was completely dumbfounded. She didn't expect that the other party would untie her hair and see her true appearance. She seemed to have made up her mind to take her back, and she roared angrily. No, I don't want to become your father's concubine. She is a princess of a country and has an even more important mission. Orochimaru said nonchalantly. That's not up to you. He took out the tape directly from the cuffs and sealed her mouth, which silenced her. Vivi felt panicked and blamed herself for not being able to hold back her temper and offending people she shouldn't have. What should we do now? We finally found the truth about the mastermind behind the scenes, but they were caught before they could be sent back. Then the country would be completely hopeless. Alabasta country has now fallen into a serious civil war. The contradiction is very sharp. If the truth is not brought back, this explosive barrel may be detonated at any time and a very terrifying war will occur. I forced myself to calm down. If I panicked here, I would really be doomed. Dasky, who was also gagged and tightly bound on the boat, was also angry in her heart. One evil person. If you catch another beautiful woman, you will send it to her father. What kind of cruel father could raise such cruel brothers and sisters? Nami stood up at this time and said with a smile, Orochimaru, I must have done you a big favor this time, right? Orochimaru nodded. Yes, it did help him a lot. I almost missed such a good gift from my father, and I would really regret it. Now that I have brought two such good women back, my father will definitely be very happy. Looking at Nami's expression at this moment, I knew that I wanted something. I wonder what you want. Nami smiled and made her request. Can I ask Roger where the legendary secret treasure is? Although Roger is not truly resurrected, there is no doubt that he carries memories and emotions from his lifetime. The news about the big secret treasure was all released by Roger. He must know it. Minato was also interested. It's a big secret treasure. There must be a lot of gold and silver in it. Stars appeared in Nami's eyes. The largest treasure house in the world, perhaps containing countless treasures of gold and silver. She still likes money very much. It's glittering. Minato also looked at Brother Snake. Brother Snake, just summon Roger to come out and ask. She also became interested. Kuina and Nokigo were also interested. Naturally, they had heard of the world-shaking news spread by Roger during his execution. It was the great secret treasure that attracted countless people to go to sea and ushered in the era of great pirates. As Nami said, there must be mountains of treasure. Even Dasky pricked up his ears and listened. No one has found the legendary secret treasure. Could it be that she, a little marine, knows the news? I always feel that there's something outrageous. You must know that there are certainly people in Marine looking for it, but it was nowhere to be found. Princess Vivi was also stunned. What are these people talking about? Summon One Piece Roger. Isn't Roger already dead? Can he still be resurrected? Who are these people? Orochimaru nodded in agreement. Okay, as you wish. Nami helped him a lot. Although my father probably wouldn't care about big secret treasures and the like, money is of little use to him. In his eyes, if his father takes action, even the whole world can easily get it. What does money mean? He slapped the floor. Thick fog suddenly appeared, and Roger in a red coat appeared. When he summoned it back before, he put it back into the sealed space again, of course on his family island. Vivi looked at this scene in horror. A person suddenly appeared. What kind of ability is this? Does this seem to be the legendary One Piece Roger? Isn't it really a trick? She still doesn't believe how people can be resurrected after death. Quietly watching what tricks these people are doing, Orochimaru formed the seal again, releasing the seal on his soul. Roger opened his eyes and started to move. Look at these people. I felt helpless. The feeling of being manipulated was really uncomfortable. Nami stared at Roger and asked sincerely, One Piece Roger, where is the legendary secret treasure buried? Roger looked down at her. Have you not found my treasure yet? If you want it, go find it yourself. I put everything there. There is no point in trying to obtain the great secret treasure through this method. The great secret treasure was the means he used to make Joy Boy appear in this world. Naturally, you won't tell others easily. Ancient weapon Pluton should have been born. In that case, the 3 major ancient weapons can assemble. In the era of great pirates that he started, this guy will definitely appear. The stone tablet on Lavdru records such a person who will appear in the future and change the world. I don't know if it's a son Ace. It's a pity that I didn't ask Garp about Ace's specific situation. Chapter 71, Destruction of the Red Earth Continent. Nami was very unhappy when she heard what Roger said. She was really so stingy. She asked, looking at Orochimaru, Orochimaru, can you control him and make him say it? Orochimaru shook his head. I can't control the summoned soul, but my father can. Roger was shocked when he heard this. Can this man's father still control the dead soul? What kind of guy is he? Could he really be controlled? This is related to the fate of the entire world. Minato looked at Roger, equally dissatisfied. If you don't want to say it, then let your father control you to say it. Nami felt happy immediately. His father was so powerful that his good impression of him increased even more. Of course, he wanted to marry his father, and now he could obtain a legendary secret treasure. It was a double happiness. It makes me happy to think that I have obtained the legendary secret treasure that so many people have been unable to obtain. Roger panicked. You can't do this. This is related to the fate of the entire world. Nami didn't quite understand and asked, Isn't this just treasure? Why is it related to the fate of the world? If you have a lot of money, you can only be carefree, live a worry-free life, and be in a happy mood. This has nothing to do with the fate of the world. Daski's ears stood up, feeling as if she had heard some great secret. Is the legendary secret treasure actually related to the fate of the world? She was extremely excited that a little marine could hear such a secret. It was never her turn to discover the great secret treasure. Vivi was also surprised. Is this the truth about the legendary secret treasure? Is this really One Piece Roger? But how could he suddenly come back to life? Incomprehensible. Who are these guys? Only by continuing to listen can you find out. Roger explained, when the great secret treasure appears, the world will undergo tremendous changes, and the world will become a complete sea. Nami, Nuikigo, and Daski Vivi were all stunned. Is this a joke? As we all know, the Red Continent and the Windless Zone divide the world into 4 seas: East China Sea, West Blue, North Blue, and South Blue. The Red Earth Continent and the Windless Zone hinder the communication between the 4 seas. Needless to say more about the Windless Zone. There is a huge Poseidon-like entrenchment, which is simply not something ordinary people can pass through. It really hinders communication. The Red Earth Continent is very vast, even as high as 10,000 meters, and no one can cross it. The 4 seas can only be connected through the narrow passage of the Upside-Down Mountain. Although there is a channel, there is no doubt that this seriously hinders communication. After all, this is just a waterway, and the sea is very vast. Only through here can we reach other seas, which undoubtedly adds a lot of distance. Daski thought it was impossible, but this was what One Piece Roger said himself, and he probably wouldn't lie to them. Assuming this is true, if they are to be connected together, the Red Earth Continent will be destroyed. I couldn't help but feel shocked. Only by opening multiple channels can it be possible to truly connect the sea. Is it going to destroy the Red Earth Continent? Even Vivi doesn't really believe it. As a princess, she once climbed to the holy land of Marie Joa. How can the sea be connected into one piece? If they were connected together, it would really destroy the Red Earth continent. But how could the Red Earth continent be destroyed? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Nami and Nogi also thought this was impossible. One Piece Roger, are you lying to us? Roger tilted his mouth and smiled. Who knows? Maybe this world will have weapons that can destroy the Red Earth continent and connect the entire sea into one. That is, of course, the cooperation of the three ancient weapons, Poseidon, Uranus, and Pluton. When he found the great secret treasure back then, he knew the truth. This was the treasure left by Joy Boy. Of course, there are a lot of gold and silver treasures. It's true. Nami couldn't help but be surprised. Is there really such a weapon in the world? That would be too terrifying. What kind of weapon is this? As Roger said, if the Red Earth continent is destroyed, the sea will really be connected. Nuakigo, Dasky, and Vivi listened quietly. They also wanted to know what kind of weapon this was. Dasky has naturally seen the majestic scene of the Red Earth continent. Even if it is 1,000 marine warships, it is absolutely impossible to destroy the Red Earth continent by bombing it together. At most, it only damages the surface. It is simply not something human beings can do to open a hole for the Red Earth continent to come out. She didn't expect that there was such an amazing secret behind the big secret treasure. If Roger hadn't said it himself, she would never have believed it. Vivi's expression completely changed at this moment. What this person said seems to make sense. Of course, she knows the ancient weapon, which is a legendary weapon, possessing extremely terrifying destructive power. If it were an ancient weapon, it would be possible to destroy the Red Earth continent. What is going on with these people? He is actually talking about such horrible things. Is this person really One Piece Roger? She had many questions in her heart, but it was a pity that her mouth was sealed, but Minato was not too surprised. Do you think you can destroy the Red Earth continent if you find the big secret treasure? It turns out that this is the treasure. It feels a bit boring. Roger frowned. This is the biggest secret in the sea. You are lucky enough to hear the truth from me here. Otherwise, there is no way to know. Shouldn't we be shocked? When he first learned the truth, he was very shocked. Of course, Dusky was shocked. I didn't expect that it was such a secret and that I had to tell Marine such news. If the terrifying weapon that can destroy the continent is mastered by pirates, the world will be over. Vivi was also shocked. This was indeed news that shocked the world. After the world was connected, it became a real world. Minato looked at his snake brother. Brother Snake, can father destroy the Red Earth continent? As soon as she said this, Roger looked at her dumbfounded. Stop joking. No matter how powerful your father is, can he be stronger than the three ancient weapons joining forces? This is impossible. Although this kid's talent is not as good as his son Ace's, his father may also be very strong. But destroying the vast Red Earth continent with a height of 10,000 meters is definitely a dream. Chapter 72 Joey Boy. After hearing Roger's words, Princess Vivi knew that she had guessed correctly. Just as she guessed, it turned out that it was really the ancient weapon that destroyed the Red Earth continent. It also has three major ancient weapons. This destructive power is truly astonishing. Now, it is very possible to destroy the Red Earth continent. It seems that the legendary secret treasure actually hides such a secret. But how could this little blonde girl ask such a question? He actually thinks that his father can destroy the Red Earth continent with the power of a mortal. Is this something a human can do? He looks like he's only 5 or 6 years old, and he is still innocent, so he probably asked such an innocent question. Even Dasky, who kept her mouth shut, didn't believe that humans could do such a thing as destroying the Red Earth continent. Even if the 3 generals of Marine, Hero Garp, and Sengoku Fleet Admiral all go into battle, it is absolutely impossible to destroy the Red Earth continent. In fact, they didn't really believe it, even Minato's father. Anyone who can destroy the Red Earth continent is really a godlike existence. Even people who can destroy the world. But they also believed a little, because Minato's father could truly resurrect people. This is also very incredible. As far as they know, it is an ability called the Samsara Eye. I didn't tell him the details. We can only listen to what Orochimaru said. Orochimaru is a few years older than Minato and should have a deeper understanding of his father. Orochimaru also fell into deep thought after hearing his sister's words. It turns out that the great secret treasure has such a secret, that is to destroy the Red Earth continent. He had just passed through the Red Earth continent and knew how majestic and huge it was. It's many times bigger than the largest Poseidon class. He believed that even if he had the Samsara Eye, he might not be able to destroy the Red Earth continent. It's not that the Samsara Eye is not good, but I feel that my ability is not enough to destroy the Red Earth continent. One of the brothers in the family, Pain, inherited his father's reincarnation eye, but Orochimaru felt that Pain did not have such destructive power, so he answered truthfully. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not possible. I haven't seen my father take action. What he said was indeed the truth. Although he admired his father very much and believed that his father was omnipotent, he had never seen anything like the destruction of the Red Earth continent. So naturally, I'm not sure. After all, Pain's words are definitely impossible. Roger laughed. Such a vague answer must be impossible. Not even a legendary Joey boy. He had to use 3 ancient weapons to accomplish this feat and turn the world into a huge paradise. Dasky also breathed a sigh of relief. That is, how can anyone be able to do this? And he is the father of such a cruel man. If this kind of thing could be done, wouldn't all the women around the world be robbed by these horrific human traffickers? This is really terrible. Minato was unhappy. Maybe it's not possible. How can you be sure? He is an invincible father. He can give birth to so many brothers and sisters. So why can't he? Roger asked with a smile. Is your father Joey Boy? It is recorded on the Ravdru stone tablet that Joy Boy will awaken the form of the sun god Nika. In his eyes, the Nika devil fruit ability, known as the sun god, and the ability to have the name of God, can really destroy the Red Earth continent. Then his father is Joey Boy, who has the ability called God, which is why he has such naive delusions. But even so, he didn't really believe it in his heart. Even if he was called a god, in the end, he was just a mortal. It just meant that his devil fruit was powerful. He doesn't believe that the other party can be much stronger than himself and become one piece. He still has confidence in his own strength. Minato shook his head. That's not my father's name. Roger explained. It doesn't necessarily have to be this name. It's just a code name. Joy Boy will be resurrected in this world, and then execute the plan I just mentioned to create a world paradise. The separated sea cannot be considered a paradise. The mermaid princess Poseidon has grown up, and it's time for Joy Boy to return. I created the Great Pirate Age because I wanted it to be born in this era. Of course, he wanted his son to find Love Road and become Joey Boy. After all, he is his son, so he must be as powerful as him. According to the news now learned from Garp, Ace has become the captain of the 2nd Division of the White Beard Pirates. You must know that the previous captain of the 2nd Division was Kazuki Odin, who abducted himself. He was a very powerful monster. This guy should have returned to his own country of Wano. Thinking of this, he lowered his head and begged, "Please allow me to meet your father. As long as you see him, you will know whether he is Joey Boy and whether he is the man you have been looking forward to." This is his only wish besides Ace. Orochimaru was a little moved when he saw Roger like this. To be able to make a one-piece bow his head like this, it seems that this matter is very important to him. I also have a question in my heart, that is, whether my father is Joey Boy. Okay, I will report it to my father. It depends on whether he sees you. Roger could only agree. Good. If it is really Joey Boy, he will not ignore himself when he hears about his affairs. If not, maybe it's his son Ace, which would be great too. How could his son beat an ordinary pirate? Before he died, he told Whitebeard all the news about the great secret treasure. That's why Whitebeard takes care of his son. On the one hand, it may be because Ace has good talent and wants to train him to become the next One Piece. On the other hand, it might be because of his interest. Whitebeard's interest is to have a son. Orochimaru forms a seal with his hands. Roger closed his eyes and disappeared into smoke. Dasky caught more crucial information. Joy Boy, people who change the future, people who build a world paradise. Why can't such a person be Marine? It's obvious that Marine is the guardian of this world. Princess Vivi was also shocked. Why were these people talking more and more strangely? Now a Joey Boy has been revealed, which seems to be real. If the father of these two people is Joey Boy, he is the one who wants to build a world paradise. So why are his two children so domineering? He actually kidnapped her and gave her as a gift to his father. People with such noble ideals should not be like this, nor should they raise such children. But she had new hope. Maybe she could escape. She hoped that the person was really a good person, otherwise she really wouldn't be able to escape. Even Roger can control these people, and now she believes it in her heart. How scary Roger is. That's much scarier than Shichibukai Crocodile. Chapter 73, the news spreads around the world. The world outside is exploding at this moment. The news about Roger's resurrection and the battle with Garp has already spread throughout the sea. This kind of thing is enough to shock the world. This is not just text, there is even picture evidence. The picture in a newspaper showed what Roger looked like from a distance. Although it is not clear enough, Roger's appearance will certainly be recognized by anyone who has seen him. The one he fights against is none other than the hero Garp. Naturally, this was taken by a thoughtful person and then sold to World Economic News Morgans. Of course, Morgans immediately realized that this was excellent news, news that could stir up the entire sea and make his newspaper sell like crazy. It even shocked this stagnant world. Such a news. He immediately ordered his newspaper to be distributed all over the world. It turned out to be just as he expected. Those who received the newspaper were all shocked, especially some middle-aged people. They have naturally seen Roger's bounty portrait. Of course, there is also the scene of Roger's public execution, which was broadcast live. That's it, you can't go wrong. The execution scene was deeply imprinted in their minds. Not only was the news of the great secret treasure shocking the world, but the execution of the evil pirate One Piece Roger himself was enough to shock the world. But some people don't believe it. Death and resurrection. Isn't this nonsense? When a person dies, there is nothing left. In their eyes, this is absolutely fabricated news. It is absolutely impossible for a person to be resurrected after death. This is against the laws of life. If One Piece Roger is really resurrected, wouldn't the sea be in a mess? Tokai Shimatsuki Village. Koshiro, wearing glasses, was sitting cross-legged in the yard with an expressionless expression. Her face looked a little haggard. A few days ago, some thieves came and stole the ashes of her dead daughter Kuina. He was also tricked and allowed them to escape. He was extremely angry at the time, but when he took the boat out to sea, these guys had disappeared into the vast sea, and there was no way to catch them up. He was very angry and sad in his heart, and he still allowed his daughter to suffer such humiliation after his death. At this moment, a newspaper bird suddenly flew overhead and dropped a newspaper. Koshiro reluctantly threw a few coins into its arms, and then the news bird flew away. It's just a newspaper, not worth much. But if you refuse to pay, Newsbird will never come to deliver newspapers again. He reads newspapers not only to understand the world's affairs, but of course his identity is not simple, and it is also necessary to understand the major events happening in the world. Of course, it would be better if I could learn about the whereabouts of those evil thieves in the newspaper. I would go to sea to pursue them without hesitation. Before, I was just helpless. The sea was vast. Where should I pursue it? Looking down at the newspaper, he was shocked by the headlines. One Piece Roger is resurrected and fights marine hero Garp. There are even a few pictures included. Even though his heart was full of sadness and anger, his face looked horrified at this moment. As an old man, how could he not know what Roger looked like? At that time, newspapers published the news that the Roger pirates had circled the world and officially became One Piece, and there was even news of their public execution. Is such a guy really resurrected? Are you sure it's not a joke? Looking carefully at the people in the newspaper, they were really the same as the ones I'd seen before. Suddenly, his eyes widened. He saw a little blonde girl in these pictures, her eyes full of anger. This guy is one of the culprits who kidnapped his daughter's ashes. Is this guy in Rogtown now? Suddenly, he was a little stunned. The little black-haired girl in the newspaper attracted him very much. There is a red belt tied around the waist. There are also white clothes, which are exactly the same. How could he not recognize his daughter? But his daughter is obviously dead. How could there be two people so similar in the world? If there is a difference, the little girl in the newspaper is just a little less angry. His face was filled with disbelief. The previous anger had long since disappeared, replaced by doubt. He was very sure that he did not have a second daughter, and there were no two people so similar in the world. Not only did they look exactly the same, but they even had the same clothes. He thought carefully and suddenly remembered what the little blonde girl had said about resurrection. At that time, I simply did not believe such absurd words. How could such a thing happen in the world? But now this kind of thing is really happening in front of me. That person is definitely his daughter. There is no doubt about it. The probability that there are two such similar people in the world is almost zero. No matter how similar they are, there will still be some obvious differences, and as a father, he can easily spot them. If he couldn't even discover this, he wouldn't be able to become a great swordsman. His heart suddenly became excited. Could it be that this group of people resurrected his daughter? Kakuzu had tears streaming down his eyes. It was great to see Kuina alive again. He wanted to leave immediately to go to Rogtown to find his daughter. But he calmed down as soon as he got up. Now that he is rushing over, I'm afraid they have disappeared. Since he can resurrect his daughter, One Piece Roger can also be resurrected. Suddenly I thought, could it be that the resurrection of One Piece Roger was caused by these guys? It seems that they are no longer there, and they should also know that after resurrecting Roger, he will definitely become the target of Marine and even the world government. That would definitely hide his traces. But where should I go to find them? The ocean is huge. However, he still had optimistic thoughts in his heart. If Kuina was resurrected, she would definitely want to go home. I'm afraid all I can do is wait. This is the best way. It's better than going to the sea to search blindly. Although he couldn't see his daughter right away, he still had a smile on his face. Nothing made him happier than this. By the way, Zoro would also be very happy if he accidentally discovered Kuina in a newspaper. Let's have a few drinks tonight. Chapter 74 almost died at this time. The Straw Hat Pirates, who were afraid of being caught and imprisoned by Garp, had already escaped to a safe sea area. In panic, they did not go directly to the Great Channel, but chose a direction and fled directly. At this time, they also received the newspaper delivered by the newspaper bird. Usopp took it and looked at it, his eyes showing horror. Is One Piece GOL Roger actually resurrected? Is it true? In Rogtown, where they fled, could it be said that such a horrific thing happened in Rogtown after they left? After hearing this, Luffy came over with a look of surprise on his face. Ah, One Piece Roger is actually resurrected? Looking at the newspaper, there's actually my grandfather in it. It looks like he is fighting with his grandfather. Is this true? He has not forgotten his dream, which is to become One Piece. If One Piece is resurrected, of course we will beat him away and become the new One Piece. Usopp and Sanji were surprised. Luffy really dares to say that. But as crew members, they naturally hope that their captain can do it, and then they will be the crew of One Piece from now on. At this moment, Usopp's face was full of confusion. To be honest, Roger has been dead for more than 20 years. Even if he had the ability to be resurrected, he should have been resurrected long ago. How could he be resurrected only now? The newspaper said that someone will be resurrected. Is this another terrifying devil fruit ability? Luffy looked confused. Devil fruit ability? He himself has a rubber-like body that can stretch and expand. But his ability is not as magical as this. But Zoro knew that it was probably the brother who resurrected Kuina. At that time, the little blonde girl did not allow Kuina to reveal it to the outside world. Then you can't talk nonsense. This kind of thing is really amazing. Luffy is even more loud-mouthed and naive and would reveal such secrets accidentally. On a deserted island in the Great Channel, a group of pirates were temporarily stationed here to rest. Deep in the jungle, a red-haired, one-armed man sat quietly with his head lowered, with a knife stuck on the ground in front of him. Dozens of other people sat quietly around him. Suddenly, a pirate ran into the jungle rashly and shouted tremblingly, "Captain, Hawkeye is here." No wonder he was so surprised. This was the greatest swordsman in the world, and he was as good as his own captain in terms of reputation. His captain is, of course, the red-haired Shanks. The red-haired man handed the glass filled with wine to him. The pirate immediately picked it up and drank it. Immediately, I felt that the heat had eased a lot. Even though his captain is one of the 4 emperors, he has no pretensions. On the contrary, He takes great care of his crew. The pirate continued to report, and suddenly he realized that a powerful aura appeared behind him. He turned around and saw that it was indeed Hawkeye. Withdrew knowingly. Since Hawkeye has come in person, he doesn't need to report it. The boss will handle it. The red-haired man looked up at this guy, and his hungover brain suddenly sobered up. I have never seen Hawkeye like this before. Hat, clothes all over were in tatters. It was so down and out. You must know that Hawkeye is different from him. He's the world's best swordsman and a proud guy. He would not allow himself to be in such a state of despair. This couldn't help but arouse his curiosity. Asked with a smile, Hawkeye, how did you end up like this? Is it a battle with a certain four emperors? Or a life and death fight? After asking, he felt something was not right. Didn't the other four emperors have such a big conflict with Hawkeye? This is the first half of the Great Channel, and the other four emperors should be in the second half, whereas the New World. Unless there is a life and death battle, there is no reason for Hawkeye to be in such a miserable state. Furthermore, these three people do not have such a big conflict with Hawkeye. Hawkeye is a guy who pursues the pinnacle of swordsmanship, not territory and wealth, and has no serious conflicts with those people. They won't easily offend Hawkeye either. At this time, other cadres looked sideways, and they were shocked by Hawkeye's desolate look. Everyone wants to know the reason. Eagle Eye sat down and said helplessly, when I returned to the Grand Channel from the East China Sea through the windless zone, I met a terrifying young man and was almost killed. Looking like this is already considered very lucky. He didn't lie. That terrifying sudden blow. Who would have thought that the other party could launch such a terrifying attack? That attack is no less powerful than four emperors' powerful blow. Even with Shanks. If I hadn't stopped him in time, I'm afraid it wouldn't have been the result of the clothes being torn. Now his body still feels cold. It was the first time that his life was in danger. In the past, even if he competed with the red-haired swordsman, neither party used their full strength. The red-haired man laughed loudly when he heard what he said. Hawkeye, are you kidding me? It is simply not something that a young man can do to put Hawkeye in such a miserable state. No matter how talented the young man is, in front of the world's best swordsman, it's just a matter of one blow. You must know that the man in front of him is a man whose swordsmanship is inferior to even his red hair. When it comes to geniuses, Hawkeye is one of the most powerful geniuses. What's more, the most powerful genius has become one of the top experts in the world. How can other young geniuses hurt him? Even the path he had high hopes for would be impossible to hurt Hawkeye. Luffy must have gone to sea. I wonder how he is doing now. The red-haired girl felt very good when she thought of this. Then the world would begin to change. Roger once asked him to witness the arrival of a new era. His arms were blocked on the new era. Other cadres didn't believe it either. How is this possible? Lachelu said, holding a big chicken drumstick in his hand. Hawkeye, it's impossible. Can a young man make you so miserable? Even though it was said by Hawkeye himself, he couldn't believe it. His own captain could make Hawkeye so miserable, but it would be a full-scale fight, a real life-and-death fight. Even though Hawkeye's swordsmanship is stronger, Shanks' Conqueror's domineering reaches the top level, and his overall strength is stronger. It would be terrible if there was such a person. If a young man can make Hawkeye so miserable, it will be better when he grows up. By then, I'm afraid the four emperors combined won't be enough for him to fight. If you think about it carefully, there is no way such a terrible person could exist. Chapter 75 Terrorist Forces? Hawkeye sighed. It's normal for you not to believe it. In fact, I don't really want to believe it myself. Immediately, his expressions became serious. But this is no joke. There really is such a terrifying boy in the world. That boy's blow was probably as powerful as the four emperors' strongest blow. Everyone present was completely stunned. Hawkeye's serious expression showed that he was not joking at all. Besides, Hawkeye is not the kind of person who can joke, Lachelu said tremblingly. Is there really such a terrifying boy on the sea? Someone who can deliver the strongest blow of the four emperors. Doesn't that mean that this guy has reached the level of the four emperors? Ben Beckman's face became serious. There is such a terrifying young man. Do you know who he is? He is the vice captain of the Red Hair Pirates, and his strength is comparable to that of the four emperors, but he is not young anymore. Now can be said to be his peak time. The red-haired man was also curious, so he filled a wine glass with wine and handed it to Hawkeye. Hawkeye picked it up and took a big sip, then spoke slowly. A young man with green tears in the corners of his eyes, wearing white clothes. What a terrifying opponent. This scene may not be as simple as I thought before. The redhead couldn't help but ask, "Are you saying there is a secret superpower?" Hawkeye nodded. After all, this is just a young man. And if you can cultivate such a terrifying young man, how terrifying will the power behind it be? It's hard to say. Yes, even if a boy gains powerful devil fruit abilities. But he doesn't have that kind of completely cold temperament, but is arrogant as a nouveau riche. But this young man, like himself, had no arrogance at all, or that was the pride in his bones. This can only be cultivated in big forces. The leaders of the red-haired pirates looked at each other in shock when they heard this. His analysis makes sense. Just this refreshed their understanding of the sea. Suddenly, I felt a veil covering the sea. The red-haired pirates have traversed the sea for more than 10 years, but they actually have forces they don't understand? The red-haired man was shocked. Is there really such a terrifying force in the sea? If a young man possesses emperor-level strength, wouldn't the adult behind him be very terrifying? At least there is no problem in crushing them. The four emperors. His head suddenly hurt again. I don't know if this is good or bad. It feels like the world has changed, and the hard-fought balance of the sea may be broken. At this moment, a newspaper bird flew overhead and dropped a newspaper directly into Shank's arms. Shanks took out a few coins and threw them into the newspaper bird. Then he glanced at the newspaper and was stunned for a moment. How come? How come a captain is in the newspaper? The captain had been dead for more than 20 years, so he wanted to see what the news was. Is there anything going on with Captain Roger now? But the more I read, the more frightened I became, with a look of surprise on my face. And I couldn't help but hold the newspaper tightly. When the other cadres looked at their captain like this, their faces darkened. This expression meant that something big was about to happen. He had never been so surprised before dueling with Hawkeye. Now, they were also panicked. Something that could make the boss panic like this was certainly not a trivial matter. Ben Beckman asked immediately, "Shanks, what's going on?" Even Hawkeye looked sideways. Is there anything more shocking than what he just said? He wanted to see what was going on. At this moment, the newspaper that the red-haired man was holding tightly was deformed, and veins popped out on his forehead. Then he looked at everyone and explained, "My Captain Roger was resurrected and fought a battle with a Marine hero garp in Rogue Town." The faces of the cadres who heard this changed, and their brains that were hung over from last night were completely awake at this moment. This is really something extraordinary. Their captain, Shanks, is a current Four Emperors and was once a crew member of Roger One Piece. Even Hawkeye was dumbfounded. How is it possible? How can Roger be resurrected? I saw him executed with my own eyes. There is no such heaven-defying ability in the sea. It should be impossible to resurrect, and death is death, even for people like Roger. The other crew members reacted. "Yes, Captain, is this not false news?" It's another fake news released by some unscrupulous newspaper owners to increase newspaper sales. Shanks reacted, loosened his grip on the newspaper, and then saw the source of the newspaper, World Economic News. Then his boss is Morgan's. Said slowly, "I'm afraid this is not fake news. This is published by Morgan's, the World Economic News newspaper. This person still has credibility. The information released is true, although it may be exaggerated. Get ready and set off for the East China Sea. I wonder if it is possible to meet Luffy." Luffy must have gone to sea. The other members all understood. If it was Morgan's, this was most likely true. I also understand why the boss is so anxious to go back. None objected. Hawkeye spoke at this time. "I'll go too." This attracted him. Roger was once a terrifying swordsman. Of course, it's not only terrifying in swordsmanship, but also conqueror's domineering. Not weaker than the current redhead. He is someone who could be compared with Whitebeard, the strongest man today. Of course, he wanted to see who did it. Of course, the redhead didn't refuse. Therefore, the cadre notified the members of the red-haired pirate group on the island to board the ship and prepare to enter the East China Sea. The red-haired Shanks, one of the Four Emperors. Of course, We choose to take the windless belt back to the East China Sea, which is a shorter journey. It's just the Poseidon class. The redhead can scare the shit out of them with just one conqueror's hockey shockwave. Moonlight Moria, who was in the waters of the Magic Triangle, naturally got such a newspaper and became aggrieved. How come there are people on the sea who have the ability to rise from the dead? His heart was full of jealousy. His devil fruit ability can only control the corpses of some deceased people, as well as well-preserved corpses. Of course, you have to capture the shadow and put it into the corpse to control it. In terms of strength, it is not as terrifying as before. For example, he obtained the legendary Samurai Ryoma from Wano country. Even though it is such a powerful corpse, its control is not as powerful as the legend says, and even he cannot defeat it. The puppet you control is not only related to the strength of the corpse, but also the strength of the shadow. Only when the corpse is strong and the shadow is strong can you obtain a useful and powerful puppet. But how can a powerful shadow be so easy to obtain? Only the shadow of the strong is strong. Therefore, he controls many puppets and does not dare to take revenge on his former enemy Kaido. Chapter 76. The most beautiful woman in the world, Moonlight Moria, was very envious. The Roger controlled by that man was even able to fight with the marine hero Garp. Garp is still the same Garp as before, not much weaker. It is the appearance of marine, which is enough to show that Roger has peak or even close to the peak strength. He was very unwilling. If only he could summon Roger with such combat power, he could definitely beat his enemy Kaido to death. You can even resurrect companions who were killed by Kaido. It's a pity that such an ability is not in his hands. Sabaody Islands in Shaki Bar. An old man with white hair and glasses looked surprised when he saw the newspaper. Is this guy Roger resurrected? Still in Donghelyu Town, we also had a battle with Garp. Are these news really true? He felt that it was necessary for him to go to sea. Meet this old friend. Shaky, I'm going to go to sea. Okay, I'll get you a boat. Rayleigh. Shaki replied. Once the vice captain of the Roger Pirates, he is now an alcoholic living in seclusion here. He even often sells himself to auction houses to make money, but he can always escape unnoticed. Those special handcuffs can't stop this guy. With a grateful look on Rayleigh's face, she drank the wine on the table in one gulp. Thanks, Shaki. Located in the windless zone of the Great Channel, in the palace of Nine Snakes Island, in a huge bathroom, a woman with snow-white skin and an excellent figure was lying in the huge bath. Gently wipe your white skin. Aijia is so beautiful. As the most beautiful woman in the sea, Empress Hancock, she has absolute confidence in her appearance. Any man will fall in love with her once he sees her. At this moment, a fat woman with long orange hair pushed the gate of opening and ran into the bathroom with excitement on her face. He yelled, "Sister, there is big news." Hancock raised his white chin and said displeasedly, "What happened, third sister?" The third sister immediately came to the edge of the bath and handed her the newspaper in her hand. "Sister, see for yourself." Hancock took the newspaper and read it with a look of horror on his face. How is this possible? Has Roger been resurrected? Who did this? The world will undoubtedly be in turmoil. Third sister looked at her elder sister and asked excitedly, "Sister, why don't we also go to Roger Town? Maybe we can find Roger and learn from him the whereabouts of the legendary secret treasure." After hearing this, Hancock looked at his third sister coldly. "What are you talking about? Have you forgotten our identities? Once One Piece Roger is resurrected, Roger Town will definitely become a gathering place for many powerful people. By then, even a disagreement may lead to a big war. If our identity is exposed in the war, we may be in disaster." The third sister's face was instantly frightened. Why didn't she think of her identity? Yes, their identity is the slaves of the celestial dragons. When they were young, they were abducted and sold to the celestial dragons by human traffickers, and they worked as slaves in the Holy Land for several years. Fortunately, he encountered Fisher Tiger, who had climbed up the red dirt road and made a big fuss in the Holy Land. So he took the opportunity to escape. Although my sister is now Shichibukai, one of the great pirates and the most beautiful woman in the world, but once discovered, he will be captured by the Tianlong people and Shichibukai's identity will be useless. The title of the most beautiful woman in the sea will attract the attention of those Tianlong people. Those guys will never let their sister go. By then, not only will the three of them become slaves again, but even the entire Nine Snakes Island will be in danger. She realized she was wrong. Sister, I was wrong, Hancock said grimly. Okay, exit. Don't even think about the big secret treasure. Yes, that kind of thing is definitely not something she can obtain. If you want to seize it, it means fighting with strong people from all walks of life. But there is a fatal weakness behind her, which is the slave mark of the celestial dragon. If your clothes burst during a battle with the enemy and the mark on your back is exposed, it will definitely become a fatal injury. Third sister completely gave up on such unrealistic ideas and withdrew directly. Hancock, soaking in the water, read the newspaper. His face was very miserable. Will these days of fear come to an end? Even though I escaped and am now free, I'm not mentally free. The slave mark on the back is like a time bomb. When will the Tianlong people be wiped out? Only then can you achieve true liberation. It feels ridiculous to think about it. How could I have such an idea? How could the celestial dragons be destroyed? They're the real masters of world government. The top 5 leaders of the world government are all celestial dragons. You know how powerful their power is. Want to overthrow the world government. No one in the world today can do this. Not even the pirates' 4 emperors, who can't stand up to the serious world government. Looking at this newspaper, Roger actually came back from the dead or was resurrected. I always felt as if something big was going to happen in the world. This is her woman's 6th sense. Roger was able to be resurrected because a very terrifying, heaven-defying devil fruit user appeared in the sea. I don't know what else these people will do. He will probably be an enemy of the world government, and it may cause considerable trouble to the world government, but not necessarily. That would be a very happy thing for her. But she would definitely not associate with these people because she was in the winless zone, she was a top strong person, and she was also confident. Even if the resurrected Roger faced her like this, the beauty of the world will also be addicted to it. In the second half of the Great Channel, in the palace of King Dressrosa, a blond man wearing sunglasses and a pink feather coat leaned on the huge throne. In front of him was a young man with beta horns, a peak cap, green long-sleeved hot pants, and bare legs, holding a newspaper, reported with a look of surprise. Young master, something bad has happened. One Piece Roger is resurrected. Doflamingo's express.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.